Yeah, can you hold up? Chris isn't there.
Walking gravel.
Morning. Very
Good.
good. A little bit.
I love
All right, it is 9:03. That's better here. 3, and I'd like to bring the committee to it's Wednesday, May.
They're not doing so. Give them Chapman.
Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Allen, Bates.
Alan on the way.
Thank you. Berman, Gums, Juby, Caius,
Is present.
Lewis,
Who's here?
Linder,
They're here.
Molina,
Molina present.
Sanchez,
Sanchez present.
Beckman,
Rathman here.
Surges, Tepe,
Up here.
Williams,
Williams present remote.
Roth,
Roth here.
Here.
There as well. Where's Mr. Berman? Is he here?
He's not.
All right. Excuse me for a minute. Do it best without. Pledge of Allegiance. Jared, please.
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of April 2nd?
Madam Chair, this is Caius. I would ask for unanimous consent for the approval of minutes from April 2nd, 2025.
We have unanimous consent from everybody? Yes?
Do we do remote attendance?
No, we did not.
Oh, we didn't.
Remote. Oh, yes. Remote. Oh, cute flag with shots in it. Old flag, war flag. I haven't seen that one. Okay, yes, I'm sorry, distracted from the, it's a new flag. It's a squirrel. No, it's defending the Republic flag. We have Miss Allen is on the way and we have Mr. Williams as well. May I have permission to let them in, please?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you. And thanks for the reminder. All right, so the approval of the minutes is on the table and we do have consensus from everybody. With that, fine. We have some public comment. Oh, it's Mr. Iqbal. You'd like to give your public comments, sir?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, very
Yeah,
good.
I introduced myself.
You have 3 minutes.
It is 5 minutes. It's on the agenda. The item is proclamation, which is in the Transportation Committee meeting section. But I'll be short. My name is Mohammed Iqbal, and I serve on the county board from District 19. Today, I'm speaking as a citizen before this auspice committee to draw their attention to the proclamation that they have before them. During the Transportation Committee, I opposed this proclamation. My question was the helmets, the safety of the motorcyclist. The proclamation said it's about the safety, but is there a safety without helmets? And I didn't think there was, and I went further and researched it, and no, there is no helmet by this organization who is being honored today. This organization is called ABATE, or ABATE. I sent my slides over to the IT department, if they could put the first slide over. So I can,
A minute and a half left, sir, on this topic.
yeah, I sent it to them and I shared it with.
Ready to put it up? Yes. It's ready. Okay, there you go.
Oh, good. Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, this is the proclamation that you have before you, and I presenting part of it. And the word Batty of Illinois appears in the red cloud that I drew on it. This is an organization of brotherhood that will be honored if this proclamation is passed. So I looked into this association or brotherhood and see what they do. And they have a website. So if you go to the second slide, which is the website. Yeah, this website, you can go and look on the right-hand side. It shows an image, but it has no helmets. In the middle, there's that's the, did I? Okay, on the middle, it says they're fighting for the rights. And if I go further into the mission, I see some sound here, not coming from this side. And if I look into the mission of this organization, I see the House bill or the legislation they are opposing or proposing, and there are two legislation that they are opposing, and they are on the point. And I would like to bring it to your attention, Madam Chair.
Mr. Iqbal, the time is up for this, for your 3 minutes on this issue. You can certainly, if recognized at the board, when we bring it up, you can further that conversation if you so wish. Okay.
But it's
so
a
why don't
5
you-
minute, Madam Chair, isn't it 5 minutes?
No, it's 3 minutes, 3 minutes for all topics,
Oh,
whether
our
on or
topic,
off
okay.
agenda. But you're welcome to continue your conversation when we get to that point.
Okay, that would be
item.
great.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. Very, very kind of you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
So we're going to put a pause on this. We'll come back to you. All right, next speaker. Mr. Zimmerman? Jake, you're not here? Okay. Our next speaker is Brian Anderson.
Public speaking?
Yes.
Good morning, Brian Anderson, Sugar Grove. I want to take the executive committee back to April 23rd, the finance budget meeting, the first one since the election. I hope each and every one of you find the time to go back and just listen to that meeting. One of the things that struck me, little past the 2:02 hour mark, I was a little perplexed why Board Member Tepe at least 3 or 4 times talking about, I hope it doesn't get adversarial. So when you look at the legal definition of adversarial in the context of what was just talked about, I certainly hope that we're not going to have any adversarial issues with the state's attorney and the other departments with their budgets. I hope everybody can work together and understand what needs to be done in a prudent, professional manner. Number 2, I would encourage each and every one of you to go back and review the special county meeting on May 1st. It was quite enlightening. I was a little bit, again, perplexed as the chair, Dale Berman, pretty much putting the onus on any of the board members that didn't vote for the property. Well, it's going to be on you to figure it out. You're going to need to work harder. Anyway, what really piqued my attention was this presentation that Mavis Bates gave to everyone. And it dawned on me right there That presentation, ladies and gentlemen, should have been something that all of you, not only in this room, but all 24 board members should have seen, should have reviewed. It's the basics of the finances and the budget, the most important aspect in Kane County, the budget. Yet it was discussed after an overwhelming vote by Democrats, Independents, and Republicans. Then what struck me is she has been sitting on this board for 5 years, and she said, you know, I just thought I'd finally kind of figure out what's going on with the budget. I can tell you as an uneducated consumer living in Kane County in Sugar Grove, I knew about 90% of what was on that PowerPoint because I'm digging in and taking a look at how this board is operating. I also want to remind this group, you had a chance in December, and it was a 13-9 vote. They wanted, Mr. Chan says, to be the new chair of the Committee of Finance. We all know that was shut down by the chairman of the board. Based on what's happened, based on how I've seen these last meetings, based on where the budget should be in this time, I don't believe that the board can redo based on the statute to replace Dale Berman as the chair of finance. So I'm calling on Mr. Berman to resign and let Bill Leonard step up as the new chair of Finance Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Michelle Bettig, you're next.
Good morning, Michelle Betag. On August 8th, 2023, Kane County approved the new responsible bidder ordinance. In my opinion, that is something that should be looked at as far as correcting the overspending in Kane County. I know this is a touchy subject because at that ordinance, it made it impossible for private businesses, small businesses, and non-union businesses to do business in Kane County. With that being said, the costs have escalated to over a third, maybe more on each project that we're doing in Kane County. Now, I know Parag and other board members have received considerable donations from unions, and that, you know, this possibly is a payback for those. However, I do feel at this time, you know, a resolution to go back to private businesses with proper education and training and approval can be doing work in Kane County. I'm looking in particular, the flooring bid that was done July 25th of 2024, when Mazzari and Engstrom and Family Flooring of St. Charles did the bid, you know, considerably more money, this Marzetti Inc., which is super sketchy, by the way, along with the third bid, this Engstrom, which I can't even get a hold of either of these companies, very sketchy. It's not clear to me why either one of them outside of Kane County would be doing the work here when a Family Flooring of St. Charles has been doing work here in St. Charles or in Kane County for 15 years, by far was the lowest bid and with a good reputation that's had a track record of doing business in Kane, instance of being able to cut the budget, cut expenses in Kane County. I spoke with a gentleman last night from Elgin who was beside himself because his tax bill went up 25%. Are there a bunch of compensating factors? Yes. His assessed value, his, you know, the rate, the taxes raised here. I'm not sure. I'm sure the school board, but in any event, he's devastated. People of Kane County have had enough. And when I'm hearing Dale Berman and Parag saying again about the motor fuel tax, it's enough. We've had enough of the spending. I would like to give money back to the local businesses. 1/3 of the costs could be saved. I don't want to see a motor fuel tax. I don't want to see another referendum on the ballot. And you know, one last thing, the department heads, if I was in charge of a department and I've been getting money from the board and I have reserve, I would be pocketing that, save it maybe for future projects. I don't blame them, but isn't there a way of doing an inventory of what what they have and what they're sitting on in order to maybe over the next 1, 2, 3 years to use that money to overcompensate for the spending.
Thank you very much. That does conclude our public speakers. Welcome, Miss Allen. Good to see you. Ms. Hopkinson?
The finance report is on file. The budget, the kickoff meetings for the budget have been scheduled with the elected office holders and the department heads for next Thursday and Friday. Elected officials on Thursday and department heads on Friday, where we'll be going through with them the mechanics of how to enter the budget information into New World, and we're developing a calendar. We have a few less months this year to get the budget done because we typically start in March. But I think we can, with some of the automation that we're been putting forth through our software tool, I think we can still get it done on time. There are 2 resolutions on this agenda today and the off consent agenda that came up rather quickly last week. The Transportation Department received the remaining money, the grant money from the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to reimburse the Long Meadow Bridge costs. The county now therefore has enough money to fully defease the toll revenue bonds. So the money has been deposited, the treasurer has invested it. And once we have to have an ordinance approved by the board to fully defease those bonds. And then there's a related resolution to make some budget adjustments to accommodate all the transfers that need to be made. And we look hopefully forward to maybe by the end of this month to have all of the money with our escrow agent so that the county in about 2028 can call the bonds and save millions of dollars in interest payments that we don't have to make and pay off the debt. So that's all good. So
And before you continue, Mr. Berman, you are there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we have permission to allow Mr. Berman in? Okay, welcome, sir. Yes. Ms.
Thank you.
Judy.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry, I have a really quick question, Kathy. On page 13 of our packet, under the King County purchasing card information, we have double charges on everything. Is that right? Are we supposed to have double charges? So we have a $49.95 and a $49.95 from the same day from the same vendor. We have a $13.54 and a $13.54 same day, same vendor. $27.97, $27.97 same day, same vendor. I just wondered if that was a duplication.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Okay.
I'll have to take a look
Or
at
can
that.
you pull up 13, page 13? And I'm sorry I didn't send it to you before.
Yeah, these charges would have been, I'll have to look into that. Why it looks like there's 2 of every charge.
What page did-
Page 13.
I have.
Oh, about 100 bucks.
Claire's got it up on the screen.
Hmm?
That chocolate. Grams. Yeah. Which one?
You're going to address that.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. I don't have the answer right now. It could be that there were double charges and then it was caught once the statement was received and fixed in the following month. I don't know. I'll have to find out.
Is that all right with you, Ms. Judy? We can
Oh,
wait.
yeah, that's fine. I was just, if it was an error, I just wanted to draw it
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
a remedy.
Okay, okay, very good. We don't have to belabor this. All right. Anything else? Any questions for Kathleen? Yes, Ms.
I'd like to know what's happening with the budget process right now.
Yeah, we're going to hold the kickoff meetings next Thursday and Friday for the offices and the departments, and then open up our software module so that they can start entering their budget information, the position budgeting information, their contractual services, revenue, et cetera.
When can we see those budgets?
So the calendar that I'm working on, I think with some of, like I said, we put in a lot of work the last year and a half to use a lot of the automation tools that are already built into New World that the county was paying for but wasn't using. I think we can actually get all the departments to get all their budgets entered. I'm going to push by end of June, mid-July, which wouldn't be too far off from where we were last year.
And
With a final draft budget to the board at the end of August, early September.
and will they come and present it to what, the committees?
That's really, last year we built into the calendar the opportunity for all sorts of discussions between individual offices and individual departments. And I don't think it happened, but what we would like for the board to do, and it's really the board's decision, is to meet with the offices and the departments now. Pretty much everybody knows how to build their budget. It's just a matter of data entering it into the software module. So there would be no reason why anybody couldn't talk to an office now about their budget process. But we certainly have built into the calendar what has always been built into the calendar, which is once everything is in, and then the finance department goes through just to make sure all the math works out, everything balances, that the departments would then take and do a formal presentation to their home committees throughout the month of July, early August.
May I? One more question.
Yeah, one more question.
When, do you have good numbers for our revenues for 2026?
No. The revenue, there are some revenues that are entered by the finance department, basically the property tax revenue, sales tax, income tax. But pretty much all the other revenues across the county are entered into the budget by the individual office holders and the department heads that collect those revenue sources. We certainly review it and compare it to, prior years, but we'll have to wait because all those fees and fines and grant reimbursements, et cetera, that information has to come from the individual offices and departments.
About when will we know that?
I would say earliest end of June.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sure.
And that, for them, that'll be an estimate based for next year, anticipate.
Right. It's always an estimate. It's always an estimate with, especially revenue and sales taxes. Sales taxes have fluctuated with inflation. And there's a lot of fees actually across the county that fluctuate with the economy, sort of the ebb and flow, depending upon how the economy is doing. Certain economic activity is tied to that, to the broader economy. And so it impacts our fee and revenue that way. And grants are going to be changing. There's already a few grants that I'm aware of that may not be coming back. So.
Correct. Are there any other questions for Kathleen on the board, please? No one else from the executive committee? Yes, Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kathy, I was just curious, with their expectation of providing that information, is there any request to see a version with no increase to last year's, or are they just going to do what they can do, which I would expect they'd want to anyway, but could we request of them to do a no increase from last year as an alternative, or a decrease or something like that, so we can at least have options?
that really needs, that direction needs to come from the board. And, you know, my read and interpretation of what I heard at the April Finance Committee and at the Special Finance Committee last week was that departments were just going to be allowed to start entering their budget because we need to start building the budget. Union increases will be built in because those are contractual. There's no guidance to build in any sort of other increases, cost of living increases. So we're not going to build that in to the budget at this time, pending any, you know, further direction from the board. But we have no direction from the board as to tell offices to reduce their budget by a certain percent. We have not received any of that direction yet.
And I would confirm that that is not the case. I would hope that the Finance Committee could meet again, perhaps next week, before this exercise gets too far into the weeds, to make that recommendation. It's imperative, that way they won't have to do double digit or double work on this to revise the proposed budget for each of their departments. But nonetheless, nothing can be done except to accept and to review all of the other elected officials because of their independent control with their budget. So they can just go on and do what they need to do, and it'll be our recommendation upon our revenue stream, how much we're allowed to give to them. So know that we've been through that conversation multitude times. Mr. Surges.
Madam Chair, thank you. Ms. Hopkinson, I am tripping in a wire here.
Oh,
Ms. Hopkinson, when you say you're looking for direction from the board, just so I'm crystal clear, who are you looking, where would that direction come from? The Finance Committee, a board initiative, the chairman of the board? Who are you taking orders from, and where are you looking for that direction?
I would say the board generally, the county board.
And Mr. Frank, if I could ask you, if you could detail that in an email to us saying, this is the resolution, this is what type of communication is needed from us, whomever us is, to her to move the process along.
So I can give you some.
I think we're herding cats right now with a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of great intentions, but no focus.
Mr.
I'd like to hear from
It is-
Mr. Frank. Yeah.
And I'm going to give him the platform, sir, but it is the duty of the Finance Committee to make the recommendation to the Executive Committee. That's part of our county code. It certainly can go to the board for their final approval and blessing, but it is the recommendation of the Finance Committee to make those recommendations. And I'll turn.
So Madam Chair is largely correct in the sense that the first iteration of the budget is from the Finance Committee. They have to quote, approve a balanced budget. But ultimately, obviously, the budget gets approved by the county board. This is a question that's very similar to what I have to deal with a lot, where I have to get some general guidance from you all where there's not a formal vote, but there's essentially trying to read the tea leaves based on your questions and your thoughts and stuff like that. It's really up to the staff member ultimately on what they believe will get through passage when it's ultimately presented. If you guys want to create a more formal process where you are giving clearer and more directives or more clear directives to staff, you know, that's something that the board should be considering as a kind of a separate thing, because I think the issue you're going to run into repeatedly, and you've seen it over the last few years, is staff is kind of left on the budget side of trying to figure out what you guys will ultimately pass, which isn't going to come to pass for another 6 months. But because of the time length that it happens, they need to get some kind of guidance. So I can get something more formal for you guys as maybe some alternatives that you might be able to do. But generally speaking, the best guidance I think there is for the finance director is to be kind of taking directives from the finance committee. Because they are ultimately the ones that it has to go through before it can even really get to the county board.
Madam Chair and Mr. Frank and Kathy as well. time and time again.
Michael, could you get closer?
Oh, I'm so
to him?
sorry. Time and time again in the role of human services, we hear back from employees or staff members that have left. It is just so difficult when you have 24 bosses, if you will. And that's not how we're supposed to operate. We are a collective that gives a singular message, and it's our job to get to that messaging. And Kathy, I don't want you lost in the woods and saying, well, the finance committee is saying this, but we don't know that the board will actually pass that. And guys, we're done with politics. We're 29 mil that we're trying to overcome, and we need all hands on deck, if you will. So if there is a way to make this easier for you and you have that suggestion, if that could make its way, that would be just fabulous. So thank you.
So, Mr. Berman, I will speak to you after the meeting is over with today, and perhaps we can arrange with your schedule and do a query out to the other finance committee members for a meeting next week. I know that you're planning on going forward, but let's get this nailed down from the finance committee about what you're looking at to give direction. I think that'd be most helpful for all concerned.
And
Very
Madam
good.
Chair, if I can, I do want to note that just an acknowledgement, Audrey and I celebrated the wedding of our daughter this past weekend, which consumed a little bit of my time leading up to this.
And your checkbook.
Thank you. And, but I did miss the one meeting. I do have a note with about 8 or 9 points that I will send out to the entire board. I'm delinquent, I'm tardy. I understand the meeting was last week. If you'll kindly accept that in the generous light it was meant, I appreciate it.
And speaking on behalf of Mr. Berman, he missed you.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
I bet. Thanks.
Yes, we did.
Please. Michelle.
Thank you. I just want to suggest that and I'm not trying to be dismissive. These are all great questions, but they're questions for the finance committee. I think that's the process. So we start there for direction, and I think we should get back to the executive agenda.
All right. Are there any other questions for Kathleen? Yes, Mr. Linder.
I just have a comment, and that is that at some point in time, we need to address the electeds and the internal control issue. If we don't have the money, we can't give it to them. And so they need to be aware that we have a big issue here and that they need to participate in helping us solve it.
I'm sure that they are aware of it, but I think a conversation is always welcomed. Absolutely. One more.
Madam Chair, Ms. Gumbs, my question was to the executive committee to understand the roles and how this might play out. I don't want to feel that I can't ask that question. So if this was supposed to be directed to the finance committee, the question is, was it to go to the finance or is it part of this board? So I apologize if I've wasted somebody's time, but I don't want to feel that I can't ask a question. So
Your question was welcomed. I believe that there is a pressing matter that Ms. Gumbs would like to bring forward, which is why.
please do.
Yeah.
I'm always, if I may respond, just Mr. Surges, I didn't mean to disrespect you at all. I just, sometimes we have to focus on, I love you.
I love you.
Madam Chair.
Are we all done? Yes. With
I think because we have a finance report during executive, that questions should come up during executive having to do with the finance.
Remember the process. Finance committee brings it forward to the executive committee. The executive committee either approves it or brings it back down to finance for an amendment, which they bring it back up to executive. And then after the approval of the executive committee, it does go to the full board for their approval. If the board does not approve it, it goes back downwards again, and we start it all over again. So that is the process that's in the county code. It's pretty clear. All right.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes.
Sorry,
Ms.
just
Molina?
because I think
Yes,
we
ma'am.
need to define this. I think it's important for us to all know that as executive committee members, we do have a say in the process. I'm very concerned that the Finance Committee is pretty much in the middle of May and they have not provided guidance. So I think I'm trying to hold my tongue, and I think I've held it enough that I've bit it. That I'm very concerned with how the Finance Committee has been managed. This lack of budget process, the special meetings that have occurred, nothing has come from them. So I hope next week, when we have a full week of committee meetings, that then we're going to have another special meeting and we actually have direction coming from the Finance Committee. If we don't, then I think the Executive Committee needs to take this on.
All right, very good. Very, very good. Thank you. Mr. Berman, you have your marching orders, and members of the Finance Committee, you have your marching orders. We've got to get this done. All right, thank you all.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So now with that, I'd like to bring up Julie Mann, our Public Information Officer.
Thank you very much. First initiative is a Community Speaking Bureaus initiative. This idea was brought forward by Madam Chair and Board Member Mike Lindner regarding the creation of a Community Speakings Bureau to support community groups interested in learning more about the specific aspects of Kane County government. So I'm currently exploring the feasibility of that, engaging interest among county departments, county board members, whomever. I know that a lot of people already engage in this, but we could do a consolidated menu of presentation topics, consolidate it and make it a little bit more organized so that, and then push it out so people know that that's available. Because we have so many great things going on and so many wonderful people who could spread the good word about what's going on. Kane County Connects social media highlights. So in Kane County Connects now, we have a workforce development spotlight. Each Thursday, Kane County Connects will highlight workforce development programs and events through WorkNet Batavia. Recent articles generating high public engagement include the county board's approval of the historic landmark status for Echo Valley Farm in Campton Hills, ADOT's installation of reflective pavement markers, the Kane County Office of Emergency Management's quick response to provide a family with smoke detectors during one of Beth Drendel's highly regarded emergency preparedness classes, the launch of Kane County Recycling's Recycling Coach, Recycle Coach, the installation of a fire suppression system at the historic Fabian Windmill in Batavia by the Forest Preserve, the Geneva Creek Restoration Project led by the Environmental and Water Resources and Building Management, the announcement of real estate tax due dates by the Kane County Treasurer, a tribute to former Veterans Assistance Commission Superintendent John Carr, who recently passed away, the story of two men who paddled the entire Fox River recently, highlighting the fabulous Fox River National Water Trail, and the Regional Office of Education's Educator of the Year. Community engagement and events. I attended a law day over at the Judicial Center where students received awards for their essays on law. The Sheriff's Business Pitch Plan event, which is inside the Kane County Jail, voted on the best business plans. That's a story coming up in Kane County Connects. The Veterans Resource Fair in Batavia, well attended by the Veterans Assistance Commission, Health Department, Supervisor of Assessments, Office of Emergency Management, Forest Preserve, and Blair Peters with the VIP Foundation. I also attended a free Canva design instructional event over at the Judicial Center put on by someone from the State's Attorney's Office, which was really well done. And then the the Gail Borden Library Foundation luncheon with Madam Chair, Mr. Tepe and Ms. Strathman. A reminder that staff reporting to county committees, and I'm hoping you can remind your staff members if they're going to bring a proclamation to the floor, that it should come to the Public Information Office, just so we have consistency in formatting and how that is processed. Also, there's a new newsletter recently launched by the courts and the Chief Judge called Kane County Quarterly. You should sign up. It's very interesting, all about what the 16th Judicial Circuit's doing. Bravo to the Kane County Health Department for an impressive turnout at their their Safe Kane drive-through. 200 cars participated in that. The Kane County Drug Rehabilitation Court graduation ceremony is set for tonight at 5 o'clock at the Branch Court on Randall Road. We have a countywide blood drive this Friday at 10 o'clock. The rabies vaccination event by the Kane County Animal Control is Wednesday, the 14th. They had over 150 pets vaccinated in April. Kane County Recycling event, Saturday, May 17th, starting at 8. Volunteers are still needed for that. And the Swedish Days Parade, scheduled for June 22nd. So I'm going to be looking for volunteers, Bill Roth.
is June 22nd, is that what
June
you?
22nd, Sunday, right?
So, okay. No politicking.
Yeah. And that's my report.
Very
Happy
good.
Mother's Day.
Happy Tuesday, absolutely. Thank you, Julie. She has been doing an exceptional job. We've been in conversation and the breadth of what Julie Mann has reached out to, whether it's helping us out with define the website, working with staff, collaborating with our department heads. It's outstanding. So I'd like to commend her for her hard work and ask her to continue it. It's a lot more than just Kane County Connects, that's for sure, and highly respected in the community as well. Is there any old business?
Madam Chair Gums,
Yes, ma'am.
if I can move, for our lobbyist team, to do their presentations at this point in time on the agenda. They're obviously in session right now, so we've got meetings coming up with our legislators and I'd like to get them on and going. So,
May I-
McGuire Woods, if you guys are able to speak, that'd be great.
Oh,
Miss-
hold on, I'd like to get permission from this committee. Do I have your permission to move it up?
Objection.
No objections? Okay. Very good.
Madam Chair. Greg, are you there?
Yeah, I think Louis and James should probably go first.
Okay.
For their time.
Thank you. I'll start us off on our state portion of the agenda.
Louis is with McGuire Woods. Go ahead.
Louis Masos, McGuire Woods Consulting. Sorry. So thus far, over 7,000 bills and resolutions have been filed. And then if you add the amendments, we're looking at well over 10,000 items filed since January. The legislative session is scheduled to end on May 31st, and at this point, it is not expected that they will go into overtime session. The legislature is trying not to do anything too controversial this year, especially in light of all these bills that have been filed. So we'd like to run through a few priority items that are still on their agenda. So the first item I'd like to bring up is township consolidation. The governor in his budget address brought up the plan to consolidate smaller townships across the state. This is nothing new. I feel like the legislature talks about this every year, and there's good arguments, I think, on both sides, for and against, and these have never gotten legs, but this year it seems like this has received some traction. The Senate president has taken sponsorship of one of the bills. So we have, as I think you're well aware, the most units of local government than any other state, over 6,800 of those. And there's 3 bills that are in the mix that are being discussed. The first bill would dissolve any townships with populations under 500 and transfer those responsibilities to the county. I don't think we have any such townships in Kane County. I think the smallest was Virgil Township with a population of 1879. But if that's not accurate, please let us know. A second bill would require townships with populations of 5,000 or less to merge with surrounding townships or join the counties. And then a third proposal kind of mirrors a McHenry County pilot program that passed in 2019 that allows voters to eliminate the townships via referendum. It also abolishes township assessors in townships with population of less than 50,000. And it also allows townships to merge with each other. So there's some working groups that are discussing this. We are monitoring to see what final product they come up with. The second big issue is transit overhaul. Illinois lawmakers are actively negotiating a comprehensive public transit reform package. This transit reform group has made surprising progress. This was a very big lift. Nothing has really been reformed since 1983 on this. We could see a bill by the end of session, by the end of the month, to address the governance of the transit systems. However, finding agreement on funding and revenue, which is a very big issue, that's proving more challenging. So they are discussing this. They'd like to drop a bill on funding by the end of session at May 31, but that might have to be punted over to the summer for further negotiations. No language has been circulated yet. We're talking to the legislators and interested parties in these meetings. And so far, we've been told that our concerns have been heard loud and clear, is how one legislator put it, on the need for adequate representation for collar counties. So we will continue to monitor the transit overhaul. A third issue we had was legislation to kind of tweak the statute on leasing county property. It had stalled due to some labor opposition and questions from staff on the need for such legislation. We've been working with everyone to try and craft some kind of agreed amendment. We think we're close, so we're going to try and move that amendment forward here in May. And the fourth big issue that I have before I turn it over to James is the budget. Staff is starting to put that together. That really doesn't come together and surface publicly until the last week of May. In February, the governor outlined a proposed 55.2 billion budget that was balanced and did not rely on any new income or service taxes. Obviously, federal trends, as Greg can tell you, how the economy has changed compared to where it was in February. Thus far, we haven't heard of the need for any new taxes or income to be raised, but we will continue to monitor. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to James for a few other state items.
Good morning, James Sherwood with McGuire Woods. I have an update on 3 of the items that we have been actively pushing for the county. So as many of you know, really the top priority has been quick take legislation to ensure that the county can still take advantage of the federal and state funding that is available for the Randall and Hobbs intersection. So we've been working with legislators. We were able to pass our bill out of the Senate unanimously. So it's now in the House. We had a committee hearing last week. A member from KDOT came down to Springfield and was available to testify. The bill advanced out of House Executive Committee unanimously, and it now sits on the floor. So the quick take legislation is in great shape. I'm not sure if we will get a unanimous vote in the House because there are always House members that have philosophical concerns with quick take. But nevertheless, I'm optimistic that we'll still have a majority of the votes and it'll pass. And we're working on that right now. So good news there. Also, a request from the director of the Kane County Office of Emergency Management was House Bill 2442. There is a gap in statute regarding traffic signal preemption devices. When they passed this law 10 or 15 years ago, they allow for ambulances to use the traffic signal preemption devices, but not local emergency vehicles. So we've been working on that. Passed out of the House unanimously. Passed out of Senate committee unanimously last week, and we're now just waiting for a vote on the Senate floor. But I expect that will move on the agreed bill list without any issues. And then lastly, Mr. Tepe, we are still focused on your issue, and we have some, I don't want to be overly optimistic, but there has been some movement on increasing the income cap for the senior citizen assessment freeze. As you know, it's currently capped at $65,000. There were 7 or 8 different bills filed this year that would either increase that to 75 or 85. And the House has put together a property tax working group. And we do know that this item is on their list, of their agenda list. So still remains to be seen if this will come together in the next 3 or 4 weeks. But I do think these developments are all very positive, and it seems like there is a consensus to try to get this done. So we will keep you posted as this moves forward, but we're watching it closely. I know a lot of legislators, and we're talking to folks about it. And I know Joe McCoy at the Counties Association is focused on this as well. So we will continue to push it forward, and hopefully we can get this done. I still don't know if it would be 85 or 75. I think most people are trying to go with 85, but there does seem to be a lot of consensus around this. So hopefully we can get it done. And that's all I had. Any questions for us?
Mr. Tepe, if you can hold, I'd like to Greg, because they've got appointments they have to make. So if Greg can go on, and then we'll answer your question.
I'll defer to you, Chair, but I'm happy to let, I have time. I just know that James and Louis are a little more pressed.
Okay, so go ahead, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you. In regard to this, the senior tax freeze, I get questioned on this every time I'm around seniors, and I really appreciate the effort on this. And please let me know if there's anything I can do in regard to, having people look at or send in information about specific legislation, and I will advertise that. Thank you.
Okay. Very good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Greg, you're on.
Thank you. I'll try to be quick today. There is a lot happening in Washington. The item of note from last week was the administration released something they're referring to as a skinny budget with recommendations on discretionary funding levels for fiscal year 26. As a refresher, fiscal year 25 funding runs out at the end of September this year. The Trump administration's proposed funding levels are looking for a reduction in budget authority of around 163 billion, which is a 22% approximately reduction from fiscal year 25 spending. So fairly significant. The administration is estimating trillions, no specific number, in savings for the next 10 years with that proposal. Additionally, they are looking for an increase of around 13% in defense spending. Included in that is also some border security funding. I've emailed some folks at the county sort of a short list of some of the increases and decreases. Where you see a lot of increases are in U.S. Department of Transportation funding, and you see a lot of decreases at EPA and Homeland Security and FEMA and Health and Human Services. So the recommendation from the administration is just that. It's a recommendation. Congress has to set what the spending levels are. So what you're going to see now is negotiation between leaders over what the spending levels are, top line spending. Then the appropriations committees in the House and the Senate will work through their 12 appropriation bills. Some would say they're a little bit behind schedule. Again, they have a deadline of end of September. So we'll be watching closely and working with committees and members of the delegation that represent Kane County on those spending bills. For fiscal year 26 earmark, congressionally directed spending, community project funding request, we've been working with the various departments at the county and we have all of those submitted for fiscal year 26. So we'll be pushing the delegation to make sure they either re-accept or accept new requests for the county. Concurrently, while the budget process is happening, we're looking at the budget reconciliation process. This is separate from the spending authority, the budgeting that has to happen for paying for federal government activity. The reconciliation process is this mechanism for the two chambers to make changes to the tax plan and other things that do not require they can get around to filibuster in the Senate. We've talked about this previously on some calls, but what has happened so far is that both chambers have passed their budget resolutions, which give instructions to authorizing committees in the House to come up with increases and decreases in spending plans. They're looking at a reduction of, I think, 1.1 trillion over 10 years. So the two committees of note that we're keeping an eye on are Energy and Commerce and Agriculture. There's others we're tracking, but Energy and Commerce is notable because they are looking to reduce spending by 880 billion over 10 years. And many people would assert that the only way to do that is to make reductions in Medicaid spending. Nothing has been released as far as proposals as how to change or cut parts of Medicaid. I know that could impact the county's health department. But there's rumblings. Is it work requirements? Is it reducing the federal match to the state? These are all hypotheticals. Energy and Commerce is reported to meet next week. That's going to be a very hot button committee. As far as the Agriculture Committee, that's where SNAP benefits occur. But again, we're looking closely to see what they're going to do. All of it is hypothetical. The House Republicans have a slim majority. They have a conservative arm that is looking for even bigger cuts. You have a moderate wing that is a little skittish about Medicaid changes. I really doubt you'll see any Democrats come on board to vote for the reconciliation package. So they are negotiating amongst themselves at this point. We'll be keeping an eye on it, and we'll be keeping you apprised as it proceeds. Healthcare related, I just think it's worth noting, if it impacted the county, that there was the 11 billion in federal funds flowing across the country from HHS and CDC for state and local health agencies. These are some pandemic preparedness programs, among certain things. When the administration tried to cut those, eventually some states and municipalities sued, And a Rhode Island Federal District Court currently has a temporary restraining order on that. So the money is still flowing. We've been tracking the court calendar, and there was a request for a preliminary injunction, which is more serious than a temporary restraining order. So far, there's not been a subsequent hearing, so the TRO is still in place. We shared with the county a federal funding tracker that the House minority staff on the Appropriations Committee has compiled. This is one of the more comprehensive lists I've seen of some of the federal funding that the administration is attempting to block. So this is just a list that if any departments wanted to compare notes on to see if any of their funding comes out of those buckets, they can see if they're on the list. One other item of note that we just flagged was there was a letter sent by the U.S. Department of Transportation that went out predominantly to state departments of transportation and some local departments. The letter is instructing anyone receiving federal funds that they are needing to adhere to federal law. And it really, the focus of the letter is to state that entities that aren't complying with, for example, immigration enforcement may see their federal funding held back. It's to be determined what kind of guidance the state will give out, whether or not it's enforceable, but this is just something for folks to keep an eye on. So there's more things going on. Long term, we're kind of keeping tabs on a surface transportation bill reauthorization. That'll start getting discussed this year. So many things to keep tabs on. A lot has happened in the first 100 days. Let me stop talking and take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Greg? You threw a lot at us. Could you please send Michelle, and then Michelle can.
I
give
have
us
to disseminate that. yeah.
The House list of
Yeah.
grants? Okay, so we can see that, because I certainly am aware of several grants that have been cut, one of which is on our agenda today. So are there any other? No
It's
matter
a
what-
lot to keep up, and I left
It
some things
is.
out.
No, it's,
We try to make it relevant to you when possible.
all right.
Madam Chair, if I just may, I just want to thank the team again, and I appreciate you letting us bring them forward
sure.
sooner so they can get back to work.
Okay.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you very much. See you soon. All right. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Is there any other new business that this committee would like to bring forward? No, all righty. Let's go on to our preliminary county board agenda, please. Admin, Mr. Caius, welcome back. Good visit.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Long journey back. Yeah, this is sort of a mix of items, so I'd like to handle them one at a time, please, except for a couple, maybe the Mill Creek ones we could pass together, but each one seems to be distinctly different. So I would, in administration, this is Caius, I would ask for a presentation and potential approval of a resolution, TMP 25-453. That resolution authorizing execution of a master intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreement to participate in a purchasing cooperative with Midland Paper and authorizing the purchase of paper and envelopes under the said agreement by Kane County Contract Number P-76708. I would move. Is there a second?
Sanchez, second.
Mr. Sanchez? Are there any questions?
I could vote on each one.
I would like to
All
do
right,
that,
very
except
good.
for the two Mill Creek ones.
Okay, very
Because they're
good.
distinctly different. I just wanted, we're with budget and everything, I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to discuss it here rather than in the full board, or first, if there are questions amongst us
Very
before going to full board.
Very good.
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Alan, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Juby,
Should aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Who's yes?
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Seppi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
And that was, again, I don't mention it, up to $100,000. It doesn't automatically mean we're going to spend that much, just as an authorization so that if something comes up, then we can have it streamlined. Then item B is that I'd like to present and for presentation and potential approval of resolution TMP 25-455. It's a resolution authorizing a contract extension for commercial floor coverings and related services with Mohawk Industry. And this is an extension of that contract through Omnia Partners, contract number 20200022149. And that is for up to $200,000. I would move and ask for a second.
8 seconds.
8 seconds. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby, Caius,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes, or I guess that's your line. My motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to potentially, to present and potentially approve a resolution TMP 25-460. It's a resolution ratifying an emergency purchase affidavit for the purchase of the Judicial Center chiller system upgrades. That's originally, the chiller systems were a $2 million fund from ARPA, and there's some complications, as we do find when we're digging into old walls and things, for an additional $232,016. And I would move and ask for a second.
Sanchez seconds.
Is there any questions about that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes. Then item D is a resolution I'd like to present and ask for to present and potentially approve the resolution TMP 25-457. It's a resolution authorizing a contract for the Kane County Judicial Center Pavement Improvement Project with Geneva Construction Company Incorporated, bid number 25-014-TK. That is for $1,238,807. And I believe if you checked your emails, you should have gotten something in the from Roger Fonstock, our Executive Director of Building Management and IT, that we had a question about the current condition of the pavement in that area. So, and those pictures are available, current pictures are available. Then I would move that and ask for a second, please.
Linder, seconds.
Linder, shouting match. Everybody's enthusiastic. That's great. Okay, any questions about that? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
thank you, Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Passes. Item E, may I have a motion and a second to present potentially approve TMP 25-471, a resolution authorizing additional judicial facility construction funds for general construction services with MMRW Construction LLC, bid number 23-032. And I would move and ask for a second, please.
8 seconds.
Bates? Are there any questions about this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Duffy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes. Item F, may I have a motion and a second to present potentially approved TMP 25-463, a resolution authorizing additional funds for fiber optic support services with National Technology LLC, doing business as National Technology LLC NTI for the Information Technologies Department. That was an additional 300,000 for a total of 800,000 this year. It's a budgeted item. And we just are asking for authorization to spend, or authorization for more funds so that we don't get caught, not necessarily it's going to be spent, but that we will get caught having to run it through the county at the last minute. So I would move that and ask for a second.
Strathman will second.
Strathman. Are there any questions? Madam
Just-
Chair?
Yes, please. Thank you. Just clarification. It's a significant amount of money that is going to be put aside in case it is needed. So is it not planned to be expended, but if it needs additional support with this fiber optic network, especially with the ability to lease the fiber optic network to get in for private industry and to get to our schools, other government agencies, that's what it's for? It's actually the.
We could ask,
infrastructure.
I think Charles Lasky or Roger
Roger's right
Fonstock,
here.
either. Roger's executive director, Charles is in charge of.
Yeah. So we authorized at the beginning of the year, or last year, for NTI to do up to $500,000 worth of work. In the time that we scheduled and did the engineering for that work, we have the new building in Elgin where we're doing all the satellite offices. That's one project. We're also doing a connection between CaneCom and TRICOM for public safety. It connects the Judicial Center campus, CaneCom and TRICOM. Many of you know TRICOM Dispatch is our backup center and we're their backup center. So we're building fiber between our public safety entities and the PSAP answering points. So those are the two major projects. And both of those just finished engineering. The project in St. Charles for TRICOM and Judicial Center and CaneCom is actually got permits and we're under construction. So this is basically to get us the authorization to spend up to 800,000 instead of up to 500,000. And we think we're going to probably be somewhere around 700,000. And this is budgeted in a special fund. And it's part of the sales tax. So it's not a part of the general fund and it's not a part of capital.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. Very good. Thank
Any
you.
other questions for Mr. Fonstock? Ms. Lewis?
You can just let me know later on this because it's not really related to this, but you mentioned that we would be having satellite offices up in the health department. Can you
Yes.
just let us know how many different satellite offices there are? And it's not related to this, so you can do it later.
Okay, I can give you that. We actually have a concept plan that is being reviewed by Mr. Michael Isaacson and some of the other partners, but it should be brought back to the board fairly soon. I don't know. We're discussing if it comes, I think, through Health Committee first, because that's the primary agency. And then we'd be bringing it probably at administration, maybe committee of the whole, probably somewhere in the middle. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Combs,
Yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Tyus,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Duffy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Motion passes. Then an items G and H are related to the Mill Creek Special Service Area. So I'd like to move those together and have a second and then vote on those together. First, item G is a resolution TMP 25-467, authorizing purchase of trades, labor, materials, and related services for sidewalk trip hazard removal and precision concrete cutting incorporated for the Mill Creek Special Service Area, TIPS, contract number 23010402. And then resolution H, a resolution authorizing a contract for the Kane County Mill Creek Special Service Area for curbside brush pickup services program with Kramer Tree Specialists Incorporated, bid number 25-012-TK, and that is TMP 25-477. The first one was for $30,000, the second one for $61,802. Can I have a motion? I would move both of those and ask for a second.
Sanchez seconds.
Second, Sanchez seconds. Okay, any questions about the Mill Creek SSA? Okay, roll call, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby. Juby, aye. Caius,
Guys, yes.
Bush, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Seppi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
And then finally, I would ask for a presentation and potential approval for a resolution TMP 25-468, which is a resolution authorizing the purchase of 2 vehicles from Murrow Brothers Ford Incorporated using a state of Illinois contract for the Building Management Department that for $103,786. I would move it and ask for a second.
Sanchez seconds.
Sanchez seconds. Any questions, Madam Chair?
Could you please explain the need for these vehicles?
Mr. Fonstock, I believe we have some related pictures as well. So I think that pictures worth 1,000
How
words.
many miles on them? What's the rust,
Yeah,
et cetera?
both vehicles were scored by KDOT for their viability. The one is a 2001 Dodge truck, and it has a utility like box on the back. It's substantial rust through. Mileage is not terrible, but the vehicle was rated for immediate replacement by KDOT. And that particular vehicle is a 2001, I think it's a Dodge 350 or 3500 series. There's rust in the frame. There's rust in the throughout. The other is a Chevy Colorado. I think it's a 2011 Colorado. And it was scored out by KDOT as a need for immediate replacement. These vehicles are parked currently, and we're sharing a couple vehicles for some of the maintenance crew. So we're requesting replacement of these 2 vehicles for our maintenance technicians to be able to move equipment and people from campus to campus. And we do a lot of electric and hybrid transit vans for a lot of things, but we do need like open cargo trucks to be able to move some larger items. And these are the 2 trucks that are the oldest and scored to be replaced. We do have some other aging vehicles, but these are by far the 2 worst. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. We budgeted for these replacements in the budget, so there were an anticipated expense, but they've been sorely missed. Our team is sharing a couple of vehicles right now to get around. So when they're doing that, the technicians are kind of anchored to their location until the truck comes back, and then they can go. So we're looking forward to getting these replaced.
Thank you.
Ms.
Yes,
Allen?
Ms. Allen.
Oh, sorry.
Historically, a building management got what everybody else rejected. When a department was done or an office was done, and they say, well, we've qualified to get a new vehicle, the old vehicle went to building management. So I'm going to say that we're going to have a couple of years where we get rid of those ancient vehicles and try and bring ourselves up to speed. Can I just ask, do we just junk the old ones, or is there any value?
I believe we're trading them in. We will be working with purchasing. Purchasing handles the disposal of all county assets. So it's really up to Tim Kavanasek and purchasing. So
A 24-year-old vehicle is to be commended that we've kept it for that long. That's a significant age for a car.
I
It's
think
to
we'll
be
get better
considered a-
gas mileage too.
It doesn't look safe.
I think it's
The
fantastic.
Colorado was parked before the holidays, and it was because of the frame rust through, and we were budgeting, waiting to see if the budget was approved. And then we had some delays in getting pricing for state contract trucks. So this is a state contract too. It was done through the state of Illinois.
They scored, you can score 28. They both scored 28 on and the high number is not good. So, okay, then we have a motion and second. Is there any other questions for Roger? Call, please.
Alan?
Alan, I.
Bates?
Bates, aye.
Berman?
Yes.
Gums, yes.
Juby, aye.
Caius,
Yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Believe that passes, and I believe that's all from the administration committee.
Thank you, Mr. Caius. Ms. Chuby?
So I have one resolution, or actually it's proclamation TMP 25507. I was not aware we had a requirement to run our proclamations through the PIO office. When did that happen?
Oh.
Because I've had two that I put through, and this is the
That
first I've
was
heard of it.
Probably 3 months ago, 4 months ago, I believe.
It was a suggestion or a requirement?
It's
a request.
It's a request. It's a
Okay.
policy. It's not been passed for by a resolution, so it's
Okay.
just a policy.
Okay, I apologize for not running it through. I went through the
That's fine.
committee in the state's attorney's office, so I just assumed that that was correct.
That's
All right, so I have a 2025 proclamation recognizing Steve Pitstick as the Master Farmer Award recipient. I'm not going to read it because we already talked about it in admin, and then I'll read it in the county board meeting. I would appreciate well, I'll move it if someone will second.
Roth will second.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on it?
Yeah.
He's our third, by the way, from King County, which is pretty exciting. So, and his niece won her division in Educator of the Year on Friday. So that was also very exciting. It's a good family.
Okay. And do you want to have it, I was just suggested, make sure that we request to move it off consent.
Yes, please. I would request to move it off consent.
And is Steve going to be able to be here?
I was under the impression, yes, he will be here.
Because it's planting season.
As of when we talked about it, he was going to be here. Obviously it's planting season, so.
So pray for rain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pray for rain. No, don't pray for rain, not when they're planting.
Maybe on his, maybe you can accept it on his tractor. Huh? If
Yes.
he's-
So, but I'm under the impression, yes, he was planning on being here.
Wonderful. Very good. Thank you.
You drive through with this tractor
Mhm.
out in the parking lot.
I think there's no other questions. Are you ready to take the vote?
I'm ready to take the vote to remove it from consent.
Um,
Or do I have to take the vote first and then put forth the motion to remove it from consent?
Two.
Okay, so the first one is just to accept it on consent, and then the second one is to remove it from consent?
Yes.
Okay.
We could do it all at once.
Or you can do it all at once.
Can I make a motion to remove this from consent?
Very good.
Roth will second.
Thank you. Any questions for removing it from consent?
Nope.
Great, I think we're ready.
Alan,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Caius,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
They'll move forward off consent? Off consent and approved. Wonderful. All righty, Mr. Berman, it's your turn.
You know, I'm not really, up to it this morning. I wonder if Mr. Roth could cover.
Absolutely. He's totally.
I would be
involved.
more than willing to help you out, Mr. Berman.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we ready?
Mr. Surges will do the second one. for me.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Surges will take care of B. A resolution approving March 2025 claims paid.
Yes. Are we going to be doing each one separately, or do you want to? Mr. Berman, would you like each one, since you're his
Right, yeah.
his spokesperson, will you like to be, have each one viewed separately, or do you want to group them together?
I'd like to group them together
Okay.
unless there's one that someone would like to.
I'd like to remove J.
Okay, whoa, okay.
All right, we'll go through the process of removing.
So why don't you formally ask?
Okay. We'd like to do consent unless someone wants to remove them. Ms. Juby?
Great. I would like to remove TMP 25513, which is the ordinance for the reserve policy for the general fund.
Jay? Okay. All right, any others removed? Mr. Surges?
I just want some conversation regarding B. I
All
don't
right.
need it removed, but.
Let's remove it.
Okay, we'll remove it. Okay. Mr. Sanchez, you had raised your hand. Okay. All right.
And,
So
and Ms. Bates?
B. Okay.
what's J,
J.
Jim? So let's do the consent ones first. A, resolution approving March 2025 claims paid. C, resolution authorizing agreement with Motorola for the Starcom radio management system. D, authorizing subaward agreement with Northern Illinois Food Bank for partnership and utilization of composting and food waste reduction fund.
And I'd like to pull that off because there's an
Okay.
update on
All
that,
right, we'll
please.
pull that
And
one off.
Then also,
E and F.
E and F.
And E and F, okay? So then we're going to G, authorizing budget adjustment for the lead poisoning prevention and response grant. Resolution, emergency appropriation for transfer of funds from the Recovery Zone Bond Debt Service Fund number 622 to the Pasadena Drive Special Billing Area. SW 48-5311. I, resolution amending Kane County financial policy relating to travel. I'll make the motion if I could get a second for all those.
8 seconds.
Bates, I think, spoke faster.
Okay, so take the roll, please.
Okay.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
No, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Except yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ross.
Roth, yes.
Pass.
Okay, so the ones off consent, the first one is B, resolution authorizing updates to the county health plan. Mr. Surges.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roth. This particular one, Jamie, feel free to jump in and clobber me as I hack this up, but this mandate came down from Springfield saying we needed to get this added. There was much conversation in our committee at Human Services about how to do this, the costs associated, what the implementation process looked like. We had great questions, Mavis and Anita. And it seems like we weren't the only one with these same questions because Blue Cross Blue Shield said, we're going to just take care of this and build this into the package because we can't do this midstream. We cannot react fast enough. So this is just getting baked in as it goes along. We do believe that we have the funds available for this without any problem. Jamie, am I close enough to get a thumbs up on that?
Uh-oh.
Maybe not.
Almost.
Yes, that's correct. And I did send an email to everyone, if you'd like to review it to that effect. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but, Blue Cross did, make this the default for all their public plans. That is the way all the other counties are responding. We will be coming forward with some rate options through Human Services. There is a very healthy health insurance reserve fund. If the board is interested in freezing the rates, they can. If the board is interested in reviewing options to save money through the health plan, the most effective way to do that would be to review providers again. So those conversations will be coming forward through Human Services if anyone has any feedback.
The question was specifically regarding this resolution. Is there going to be any additional costs associated with this new increase in the plan?
So the only way the county contributes to the cost of the health plan is through rates.
Yes,
So that would
yes.
be addressed through rates. So the county could freeze the rates so that there would be no change and then use the health insurance fund. If there is an overage, the health insurance fund would supplant that. And then if you wanted to address the rates, you could do that through providers.
Oh,
To-
no, I'm
to answer
sorry.
the question
Yeah, no, More
specifically-
specifically regarding the mental health.
What I think you're asking is if this gets implemented immediately now through the next, we don't believe we need to make any adjustments. Our reserve is healthy. The language is being addressed across the board from the carriers. So I think no action is required at this time in terms of a rate adjustment.
Okay.
So
Correct.
So-
No budget impact to this for the county right now.
Okay, excellent. So it's just an added value to.
Anita, I think that was your question and,
Sure,
you know, it's,
yeah.
but you were looking for a point A to point B, and I think we went all around the neighborhood before we got there. So,
We're
yes.
good right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
Understand as well, this is already a service covered under our health plan. The only change is to remove that copay. So it's not that you're adding a new service to the health plan. It's simply the cost sharing associated with it, not the coverage. We have always covered, full covered mental health in our health plan.
This one was a doozy though. I mean, even the brokers are like, we don't know what to do with it. So, I mean, but we are where we are. So we're good.
Okay, we're very good.
Okay, so I'll make a motion.
We have another question, Ms. Allen?
Wanted to say thanks for sending the email chain. It's
Mm-hmm.
helpful to see people thinking about this.
All right, I'll make the motion and Mr. Surges, would you like to
Second.
make the second? Thank you. Any other questions? All right, please call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Should aye.
Tyus,
Tyus, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Sanchez,
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Happy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay, the next one off agenda was a D, resolution. Authorized sub-award agreement with Northern Illinois Food Bank for partnership and utilization of composting and food waste reduction funds. I'll make the motion. Can I get a second, please?
Bates seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. It was pulled off, request.
Ms. Bates, why don't you lead this because this is coming out of.
I'd like to ask Ms. Ryan to come up and explain any updates to the,
And this is going to be for D, E, and F, all three.
Do we want to combine? Well, we should keep the
are
vote
there
separate.
changes that have happened.
This is a tough one. Just the timing of it has been really, really difficult. The grant application was submitted in September. We got notification they wanted to fund it in December. The county board passed a resolution, accept the money in January. We finally got a signed agreement with USDA, like a signed cooperative agreement for the work at the end of March. And I thought we were okay and ready to go on the project, but the funds have not shown up in ASAP, which is the federal financial management system that USDA uses to manage these awards. And the only information I've been able to get out of USDA about that is that they're still on pause during the transition of government, with no indication of when it might be unpaused or anything to that effect. What Jody and I would recommend is that you still consider passing these resolutions so that if the funding shows up in ASAP and we are able to move forward, we can sign the subaward agreements and get going right away. We won't send these out without that funding because there's no point, right? So that's kind of where we are.
So for clarification then, so if we don't get it, then they're not going forward. If we get the money, we will go forward.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have a question on this.
Okay.
Knowing that both D, E, and F are related to this grant that has been unfunded or put on pause. We don't know when that release of that money, when or if it will ever happen. There may be additional expenses that come up because of time. Things may cost a little more, and I'm saying no. Is there any rush then for this? Could not we pull this back and wait for the funding to come in, because we have passed a resolution with no funding mechanism?
The only hurry is that it's only a 2-year grant window. And we don't really know what the federal government's ability to extend that grant window would be if the funding actually comes through. I mean, USDA indicated to us early in the process that they did not want to extend them. But you know, things are changing every day, hour by hour. So that's the only concern with timeliness.
I'd like to bring this up because I personally feel uncomfortable passing something without having secured funding with
Would-
this. and I
Madam
think it's
Chair,
a
would
great-
we want to table it then for now?
Well,
Or,
we have other discussion
Okay.
coming
Not
through
yet.
right now. Let's hear.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move to table items D, E, and F until funding is assured, and we can then move ahead.
Point of order. Could would that be a postponement as opposed to a tabling?
Postponement would be fine,
That Mr. State's Attorney?
yeah, Mr.
but we've got to give it a date certain, I believe.
It can be uncertain. Tabling it just keeps it off the books for this meeting alone. And if it doesn't come back up
Okay.
in this meeting or the very next one, it dies.
Okay, we don't want that.
Moving it to a set time, either indefinite or certain, is up to you.
Okay, then I'll
So
then
you
I'll
wanna-
postpone it until funding is available and staff brings it back.
Okay, is there a motion for that? A
So that,
second?
just so we're clear, that would be motion to postpone indefinitely.
All right, but we have to get a second on that to move it
Right,
forward.
so I'll
Ms.
make
Bates,
the
over to you.
motion to postpone indefinitely.
Well, we've already got a motion. We've already got a motion on the table.
Juby
we can-
seconds.
Thank you, Ms. Juby. Ms. Bates, you have your hand up.
I think it's a terrible idea to postpone this. We have the funding.
Point of order, Madam Chair. We either need a second to proceed.
Juby.
Yeah, now Juby made the second.
I think it's critical that we pass this now with the uncertain atmosphere that's happening with grants right now. If we pass this right now and the grants come through, we will be ready to not leave this money on the table. If we postpone it, we don't know what will happen. It could come, the money could come and we won't be ready and we could lose the money. These grants have been worked on for a year, maybe half a year. Ms. Wolnick, could you speak?
If I may provide some clarification, this is an authorization to sign an agreement with these partners. If the funding is not available, the agreements would not be signed. It doesn't authorize us to spend any money. So we can clarify that in the whereas, where it says whereas when the funding is available from USDA, there's authorization to spend the money. We can make that adjustment before county board, and we would appreciate moving this forward.
Yes, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I just want to echo what Madam Bates said. Especially the climate in Washington, we want to be ready to act on things before they take it back. You know, that could happen within a period of a week. You never know. So I'm definitely in favor of moving these forward, not postponing.
So if you're wanting to do that, then I would recommend making the amendment with the whereas as instructed.
I'd be happy to make that amendment, but we have a motion open
have
to
a motion on
postpone.
the
Willing to remove the current motion?
Table
if Ms.
indefinitely.
Juby, or no?
It would also require the first to remove his motion.
Mr. Tuppy?
Yes, I'll remove it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to amend to include that whereas clause as specified by Ms. Wolnick.
Alan
Rathman will
second.
Okay, we have, Mr. Cars,
I was, yep.
you're fine?
Yep.
Mr. Gripe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a question. I think it's a good idea too, but if we get this ready, money comes in tomorrow and everything's signed and they start and they pull the money back and we've already signed everything and start, who's going to pay for the rest of it if the
If-
money goes back?
If we get the money, we've got the money. They can't, Ms. Ryan?
Sure. So the state's attorney's office was very helpful in helping me draft the agreements that are attached to these resolutions. And they're very, very clear. No USDA funding, no money to partners.
And the partners are all aware of this?
Yes, they would be expected for their lawyers to look through the agreements before they would sign them.
I applaud your optimism.
I'm very pessimistic. That's why I don't want to lose this money, the opportunity to grab it.
Ms. Juby?
So we're being asked to vote on an amendment that Mr. Sanchez said to include whereas. Could I have the wording for what we're actually adding to this as an amendment?
Ms. Ryan or Ms. Volnick, would you step up and give us the wording?
We would add the language that would state pending funding from USDA. The chairwoman or chairman is authorized to sign the partnership agreements.
Mr. Frank?
Blair, can I see the next page, please?
So now be it resolved that the Kane County Board authorizes its chairman to enter into a sub-agreement with the three entities pending the receipt of the USDA funding in the amount of, so adding that
Yeah,
pending.
so the language should not be in the whereas clauses, just so we're all clear, whereas clauses have no legal effect. They're just kind of preemptory, kind of summary. So the language is going to need to be in the therefore.
Okay.
Can we just table this? Let me get you the clear language and then we can bring this back up in like 10 minutes. I can get you actual language then.
For all three then.
10 minutes I can stand.
Okay, so all three.
We'll allow you to sit,
Put
actually.
those three items on, just on a brief pause and get back.
We'll
to
allow
us.
you to sit too.
So why don't we, Mr. Roth, why don't you?
Yes,
move
why
forward?
we'll table those for 10 minutes. All right, next one we're going to move to then is J. Let me bring that up.
No, I believe we're on
G.
G.
Did we?
We're on G.
We moved those.
No, did we remove that one?
Poisoning. No, we
That
haven't
was
done lead
consent.
po- We haven't done lead poison.
That
Oh,
was
that's
in
right,
the
that's right.
That was consent. H was consent. I was
J.
consent.
J is
J
always-
is the next one. As I was saying.
Did we approve consent? Because you didn't introduce any of them.
Yeah, we did.
We approved it without introducing?
Yeah, we know. We introduced all the consents and we approved them all.
Okay.
It was going so fast. Sorry. You want me to go slow?
No.
You ready for J?
Hang on. I'm trying to find it here. What page is J?
351.
Thank you. Okay. So I'll make the motion for ordinance reserve policy for general fund, general account, if I can get a second.
Sanchez seconds.
Okay.
All right, is there any discussion, Mr. Sanchez?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah. Just based on the conversation at finance, it seems what this resolution would do is make it so that we cannot spend our reserve money. Now, if I'm incorrect in that summary, then someone please correct me. But the language of maintaining a reserve, a minimum of 3 months of operating expenditures sounds to me like if we got into a situation where the county actually needed that emergency funding, we wouldn't be able to use it without going back to the ordinance process essentially, which as we all know takes at least 2.5 months. The whole point, I think, of having a reserve is for emergency situations. So if we were to hit like another great recession or worse, and we needed those funds and we needed them quickly, my reading of this ordinance is that we would not have access to those funds immediately if needed. I think my read of what concerns of other members is that in our budgeting process, there may be a thought that, oh, yeah, we've got that 3-month reserve in there. We can dip into that and put it back later or something like that. I would be in favor of seeing language that says we can't budget those 3-month reserves into our actual budget. I mean, they're meant to be for emergencies only. So that's just my understanding of this. If I'm wrong, again, please correct me. I'd be happy to pass something that doesn't handcuff us so closely in future if we need emergency money. That's it.
Okay, Ms. Juby.
And I think Kathleen, if we can bring Ms. Hopkinson up, because we had a lengthy conversation about your recommendations that was brought forward when we discussed this last. But Ms. Juby, please.
So I actually have 3 questions. I did not support this in finance. So 2 of my questions are to make sure that I have the correct data so that I can make the best possible vote. So Ms. Hopkinson had said in our April 23rd meeting that the only way that money can be taken out of Fund 1112 is county board authorization. Is that correct? Okay.
Kathleen, please come up. Please come up.
And the second thing that was said in that meeting, that because the way we receive our allotment of property taxes, that on April 14th, Fund 001 didn't have a 90-day reserve. And so had we had this ordinance in place, we would have been in violation of our ordinance, and we would have to move approximately $9 million over from 112 to 001. I don't know where 9 million came from. I got 6 million when I did it, but that is correct that you said that in that meeting. We'd have to transfer 9 million over. Okay, so why would we pass an ordinance that we know at least twice a year we would be in violation of? I don't understand why we would do that. And then my second question, well, actually my third question, which isn't this one, why after we've had all of these reports, why is 112 suddenly restricted? And that is on page, I had 353, but apparently we had a modified agenda packet. So I think I'm
maybe 349.
I'm trying to see. I'm like 2 pages off, I think. So if I had 353, it is, I'm so sorry. I didn't know we had a changed packet. So it would be on page 351. All of a sudden, 112 is marked with a red restricted. And I don't understand when that happened, as I was under the impression 112 was always available if the county board decided to move it per our financial policies.
Our county financial policies say that the special reserve fund, that the money in those funds can be moved at the direction of the county board. So it's restricted only to be moved by the county board.
So was there a reason why this suddenly showed up as restricted? Because it's not been tagged on the other presentations.
It's the special reserve fund is restricted. It's a restricted, yeah.
It was an oversight that it didn't show restricted on all the others and suddenly did here. Oh, that's fine. As long as it can be moved by county board. So I go back to my original. I don't know why we would pass an ordinance that we knew we would be in violation of.
Okay, violation. So it's my understanding that as we reviewed this, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that if we don't have 90 days left and we don't have the funds and we need to pull money out of there, yes, fine, because it's an operational cost, operational fund. But at the end of the year, we have to maintain that 90-day so that we cannot not replenish it. And that would be done with the Special Reserve Fund 112. So that would be pulled back, and we do not budget knowing that we're going to be withdrawing more than 3 months. So there would always be 90 days. This is pretty much best practices to have 90 days. I've talked to our local municipalities, and some of them have over a year in special reserve funds. We're asking for 3 months, 90 days. So obviously it's the jurisdiction of the board, but it is a fluid fund, but it has to be replenished so that we maintain 90 days. when the taxes come in. You can draw it down, but it's got to be brought back up to the 90-day fund. Yes, Ms. Juby.
But that's not what it says. So if the intent is for there to be 90 days at the end of the year, then perhaps we should entertain what Jarrett had said. If not, if we're going to take it at face value, perhaps we need to add a larger amount to cover the fluctuation that will appear in that. Because my understanding as it reads now is we will be forced to be violating our ordinance the times when our monies have not come in. They will come in at the end of the year, but that's not what this ordinance says.
It's, if you take a look at, and we can think we're reading things differently. I don't see that. If you take a look, my understanding, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think it's an important conversation to have. If you take a look at the whereas, the finance is directed to transfer the 4th whereas, at least 3 months operating expenditures in reserves. The finance department is directed to transfer monies from the general fund special reserve account 112 okay, so we got 3 months in reserves. Whereas if the general fund special reserve fund 112 does not have sufficient monies to transfer to the general fund, okay, now we're talking about not maintaining the 90 days. General account, no further budget amendments increasing the budgeting expenditures of the general fund will be approved by the county board. So if we don't have enough money to maintain those 90 days.
May I ask for
have
clarification?
then we're going to have a deficit and we're starting to draw down to less than 90 days, which can possibly compromise us going forward when the dry times do come because of the tax revenues.
May I ask the state's attorney a clarification? I was under the impression that the now therefore be it ordained were the things that set forth our policy and not the whereases. Am I incorrect in that?
So as I kind of said about the last resolution and ordinance you guys were looking at, whereases are simply summarial. They are not legal effect. So the only thing that has legal effect in this ordinance is the language, now therefore be it ordained that the King County Board, that the general account fund 001 maintains a reserve of a minimum of 3 months of operating expenses. That's all that is legal. That's the only thing that you would have to comply by. The whereases are kind of aspirational of like the things that we will try to do to make sure that the ordinance is never violated. If you wanted to have language that says it can only be budgeted under 3 months, then you would need to put that in the therefore part of this.
So would you like, what is, if that is the case, I think this has great merit to maintain a 90-day account for us all. The money is invested. We get interest from it, which could go into wherever it needs to go into. If you want to have fluid cash, the great discipline you're going to have on this board to maintain that, not this board, but future boards to maintain 90 days. Because we've seen what happened with our other reserve funds, that they were just depleted for a variety of different reasons.
All right. I have a clarification question. I don't know if it's the state's attorney or Kathy. We currently have, is it a guideline or a policy currently for the 90-day?
It's part of the county's financial policies.
So it's a policy and we're trying to make it an ordinance. Okay. My concern is we're in chaos right now with this year's budget and we're real close to already violating this. So why would we add something on top of it to make it harder to try to make adjustments? We got to do a lot of adjustments to the budget. So why should we make it harder for ourselves? We already have a policy that says we want to maintain 90.
That's an aspiration. Not
Well,
a
but
mandate.
we need to do that and we need to get a budget passed but we're going to violate it within a couple months at the current rate we're going. So why would we make more work for ourselves over the next couple months?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm trying to grasp what the problem is that we're trying to solve or avoid? And is it the fear that because of our budgetary constraints, there might be a push amongst the board to dig into that 90 days worth of reserves? Is that kind of the intent behind this, is to keep the county board from doing that?
I believe that that is prudent to make sure that we have 90 days. Oftentimes I can try to put it into an example that we often use comparing our household finances to how we manage a county budget. Many of us have 401ks or retirement plans. And if you start saving, you have money towards your retirement. But sometimes things get in the way in your life and you have to withdraw that retirement fund, which depletes your reserve, your special reserve. In this case, I'm concerned that the county may deplete its special reserve, its 90-day retirement fund, in case it needs to balance its current budget. We're 29, and that's what, my apologies for interrupting you, sir. We're $29 million in deficit spending potentially going into next year. If we don't have 30 days, we may choose, in order to move forward, to drop that down to 30 days or to 60 days, which when we go through that period of time, governmental funding, when the property tax does not come in March, April, May, we start getting it in June, we may be in very difficult times. So this way it's guaranteed that we have that money that does get replenished, and we make sure at the end of the year that we are budgeting and maintaining that 90-day cash flow.
Okay, so then, thank you for that, because I guess it just kind of comes back to where I started at the beginning, where this may kind of handcuff us in a sense and cause us to not have that reserve money at our fingertips when we need it for actual emergencies, which is the whole point of that. And I think what I'm hearing from you is it's in our budgeting process that we're worried that this money may be gotten into, and we're trying to avoid that in our budgeting. So that again comes back to, I think maybe if we had language that said we will always budget for a minimum of 3 months reserves, I think that kind of solves all these problems that we're talking about today, and some of the things Juby brought up as well. So that's my thinking. I'm still where I started.
You came back, which is okay.
Ms. Scums had her hand raised.
Scums, yes, please. And then
Thank you. I think we're like maybe over this ordinance. I don't support it. I think we're overcomplicating it. I think we have a policy. We all know that we have a policy. I think we spent down our excess reserves, not our regular reserves. It's not a retirement fund. It's an emergency fund, and that has a legal definition somewhere. So I don't see us, I don't see anybody here using those funds to offset our lack of operating expenses. It's not what it's intended for. It's for emergencies. I believe that if we handcuff I use that term also, Mr. Sanchez, because I think that a restriction on this can be extremely problematic in an emergent situation. So I don't support this.
Is just clarification, the word emergency. Is this, and I will ask her ASA, Mr. Frank, is this an emergency fund? It is not. It's reserve fund. An emergency fund we can set up separately for emergencies.
Yeah, I mean, I think not to really make this rudimentary, but from my understanding and talking with the finance director is 001 should be generally considered like your checking book, your checkbook where monies are coming and going all the time. The special reserve is essentially like a savings account where it's there. If you overdraw your checking, it's always there to be backfilled. So we're clear, funds are fundamentally different than talking about budgeting though, right? So when you're talking about a 90-day reserve, that's really more of a budgeting kind of concept, making sure that your total funds that you have available to you does not go under a 90-day set of expenses. So while whether the money's in 001 or 112 or make up any number you want, if the money is available to be used for 001, then it should be considered as a part of your reserves as it relates to whether or not you're over or under a 3-month expenditure. The easiest way to do this, if that's really the way, Jarrett and the rest of the group wants to go, is to strictly make this related to budgeting. However, if you want to make this a ongoing thing, so changes would have to be made throughout the year, that can be done too. But it's really up to you all on what you want to set as your expectation and how much of a burden, not a burden's not the right word, but how much of a law you want to make out of this. Right now, it's simply a policy. If you were to make a resolution, you could change your minds on a whim, same as a policy, but an ordinance, you cannot change until you've actually changed the actual ordinance. So the other thing real quick before I go, one of the things I wanted to raise my hand on this was this concept of violation. Yes, theoretically, the way it would be written right now, you would be in violation of it. If you incorporate the concepts that were in the whereases though, if you go over and the money can be funded over, then you're not in violation. So it just, a lot of this stuff just needs to be dropped down into therefores, and that would take care of all these issues pretty quickly.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Ms. Bates and then Mr. Woods.
I would like to know more about what constitutes an emergency. There is nothing in this ordinance to say that we can use this if the building burned down, if there was an economic collapse. There's nothing there. The reserves must be available for emergencies. I'm with you, Mr. Sanchez, if you want to say always budget for 90 days, but that there's nothing in here that tells me how we can get this money out when we need it. It's like locking it up and throwing away the key. And if we want to use a home budgeting example, my car croaked last week. It cost me a lot of money, $20,000 to go out and buy a new car, but I had a CD in the bank. I haven't cashed it yet, but I might have to. That's what that money is for. It's for an emergency fund. So I'd say, and as I look at the therefore, maybe Mr. Frank has saw this, but it doesn't even say we can take money out of 112 to put that reserve back up. This is a very flawed ordinance. I'm against it. Maybe we should send it back to the drawing board.
Like I said, there's a quick, easy fix, which is just to simply, believe it or not, there's even a lawyer's trick on this, which is just simply to make an amendment that says that all the whereas clauses are incorporated into the actual subs. It's a contracting trick. But anyways, there's an easy fix for all this. The question really for all of you is, what do you want to be a part of this? In regards to the specific question of emergency, an emergency would be defined as whatever the board decides. If they deem it an emergency and they vote for it saying, we deem this an emergency, thus we need to move the money over, then that's your emergency.
If just to clarify, and then I'll please recognize everybody. At our finance committee, special finance committee, I shared with all of you from Office of Emergency Management, let me know that FEMA is asking everybody to increase by 4 times its emergency reserve, that they would not pay. Right now, it's like $2.4 million we would be getting from FEMA. They're asking us to have a reserve fund, not just us, but everybody, 4 times that in an emergency fund. That emergency fund would be in case a tornado comes or something happens and it's FEMA approved, that they would not reimburse us up to, we'd have to have 4 times what we have right now. And they would come in with a lesser amount, but they would come in to support. To me, that's an emergency, not just because of poor fiscal budgeting, unexpected fiscal budgeting. An emergency, we see minor emergency funds for a car to replace. There may be a broken air conditioning unit or a chiller that we have. Oh my gosh, we've got to replace that. That's $1 million. That should be a planned emergency as well that can come out of that fund, and then it gets replenished again. But it is important to know that, and perhaps Greg can share more information on this at the next time we speak, perhaps on, at the board. An emergency fund is truly an emergency, not just because something has come up.
Just a point of information, Madam Chair. If I could ask Ms. Hopkinson to just explain what the general concept behind a reserve policy like this is, like a 30-day or 90-day reserve in government accounting and budgeting.
It's for a variety of reasons. There's obviously fluctuations in revenues throughout the year, fluctuation in expenses. So you always, and this is kind of in the government and nonprofit world, you always want to have some money available, a cushion available for the inevitable fluctuations that you can't plan for.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Oh,
I think
Mr.
I was
Pons,
up
yes,
next.
please.
Okay, at the April finance meeting, and this is a clarification, we have 50 million left in reserves. Is what you said at the beginning of this year. We're right now budgeted for the 25 budget to spend 29 million of that. So that basically leaves us with what, 21 million. So we're already in violation if we're supposed to maintain a 30 million. Do I have my math right or am I missing something?
This is where it gets into the technicalities of what is the definition of the general fund. And
Right.
we really have two different ways that we look at the general fund. There's the general fund general account, which is a fund number 001, which is where all the budgeting is. It's where all the salaries are. It's where all the revenues go into. Then we have, because of governmental accounting standards board requirements, when we do our ACFR financial statements every year, there are certain funds across the county which, for purposes of our annual financial statements, we have to roll up and under the umbrella of the general fund, which was the backup that was provided with this ordinance. So there's 6 sub-accounts that roll up into the general fund for financial reporting purposes. But on a day-to-day basis, when we talk about the general fund, we're just talking about this general fund 001. When you look at the reserve accounts, the way that in this case, the special reserve accounts, there used to be other reserve accounts. The way that this county has used those reserve accounts over the years is when the budget is put together, if at the end of the year, if the account 001 had more revenues than expenses, those excess revenues would be moved into the special reserve. If when at the end of the year there wasn't enough money, money would be moved back, sort of like just a transfer between these two funds. That's how those funds have been used over the years. So when you look at that one chart that showed how much money is in the general fund, you really need to add together account 001 and account 112. The other accounts, the other 4 accounts that for our audit purposes roll up under the general fund, they're really truly restricted. One is a domestic violence program. One is an environmental program. One is a development program. The reason why the government accounting principles require those other 4 funds to be reported as general fund has to do with the fact that those funds were formed out of funds from the general fund and have no other source of revenue. But they are restricted. But the way that this board should look at what is the money available would be to add Fund 001 and Fund 112 together. So when you add those two together, as of pretty much right now, or when I put together the presentation at finance, we had 55 million in those 2 funds. So we're above the 30 days. But if you just look at the portion that was in account 001, we're below the 30 days. Right.
So it's, you mentioned 30 days, 90 days.
I'm sorry, 90 days, 90 days.
So was I correct in saying, so raise it from 50 to 55? And we're using 29 million in this year's budget in order to balance.
So when the original budget was passed, it included 29 million use of fund balance to balance. The budget has been amended several times.
Right.
Since it was passed last November. The total account 001 budget is up over 140 million, but that includes some additional new revenues. So right now we're at 27 million use of fund balance
Of that,
reserves.
We're using 27 million of that 55 million in 25 budget.
Our 2025 budget is using 27, we're planning to use $27 million of reserves to pay for expenses.
Out of the
So if we
55.
do,
Right.
and then the chart that I put together, because we're at one of the lowest points in the year in terms of cash, because our property tax revenues don't come in until June. If we follow the budget and we get pretty much the revenues that we plan to get and we spend what was budgeted, we'll end up at the end of this year with around $53 million left between account 001 and 112. So if you then roll forward to 2026,
okay,
and we put another budget together
that requires
that requires the use of, let's say, 25 million, we're digging into even our special reserve.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
We're already up the creek with no paddles. And we need to concentrate on the budget and how do we fix the budget and not add additional layers to make it more complicated. Because we're going to run out in 26. So why tie our hands right now?
Madam
Chair.
Yes.
Berman.
Mr. Berman, yes, please.
Does what we're attempting to do have any impact on our maintaining our credit rating by guaranteeing that we're not going to go below 3 months revenue? Does that have any effect on us maintaining our credit rating?
Well, I would say, when is somebody going to be looking at our credit rating? So somebody would be looking at our credit rating if we're going to be issuing debt. Right now, once the Long Meadow toll revenue bonds are defeased, we've got 2 remaining debt obligations, some alternative recovery bonds, which really are funded by external parties, and then the multi-use facility bonds, which we have $13 million in principal left to pay over the next several years. So if the county needed to issue debt, certainly things like, what monies are available would be looked at by a banker, by a credit rating agency. They look at a whole host of things when they're giving a credit rating.
Yes, ma'am. And then Mr. Surges.
I don't know if that answered Mr. Berman's question or not.
Well, I just,
Well, yes, I think she alluded to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a variety of things. I remember when we went down to Standard and Poor's for the credit rating for Long Meadow, it was a several-hour session where they ask you a whole bunch of questions about the economy, the finances, your revenue streams. There's a lot considered when they're giving a credit rating agency, but certainly they would look at things like this, of course.
Yes,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Combs.
I just, where was I at here? So when we were talking about our financial policy is obviously the 90 days. It says that our objective here is to have that 90 days. Okay. And then when we go forward, it's for normal operating expenses. That's the language that's used in our current financial policy that was adopted in 23. So to the point of this ordinance in specific, the emergency situation or what I would consider like an unforeseen expense, something that we have not anticipated. That is the design of the 90 days, in my opinion, and I think that's clearly understood.
Okay, I'm sorry, didn't hear the words.
It's designed, this 90 days is designed for those unforeseen things. It specifically says outside of your normal operating expenses. So I think that we have to weigh that in. I think we're complicating this with this ordinance immensely. And I just am afraid that now, to your point about emergencies and tornadoes and FEMA and all that stuff, that's a whole nother conversation,
And
in my opinion.
that's the unexpected expense.
Correct. It could be, yes, but that's a whole nother, could be very bigger conversation if FEMA goes away, which is possible. So I don't want to include that in this ordinance because I think that's a deeper conversation. This is for a budgeting situation, an unforeseen expense, and I think that's clearly understood by most humans. That it shouldn't be part of your, oops, we ran out of money conversation, right? So and as far as the bond rating thing goes, yeah, they look at everything in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong, but as long as you're maintaining that and then replenishing it as you should, I don't think that's going to affect your bond rating. I mean, it's one of the things that they may look at, but I don't see how that can hurt you if you keep doing what you're saying you're going to do. So the policy, the ordinance in and of itself is not going to push you over the line of, yeah, we're going to increase your bond rating. I don't see that happening. I don't see that being the sole decider for that. So
There was several, and Mr. Sturgis, I'll recognize you in a minute, in previous budgets, in 99, 98, 2000, there were separate funds that I remember Ms. Juby was talking about, the Christmas bonus funds. And they were established property tax replacement fund, property tax protection fund, I believe was the name of it, or property tax replacement fund. They were additional monies that had come through that were not expended because of the disciplined budget that were saved. And those monies then were used if indeed there was, and we're not talking about the 90-day reserve fund. This is another fund that came forward in case there was a greater need. And board members may have remembered that during that period of time. That was removed by Joe Onzig, so that fund was no longer available. I mean, it was just canceled. Money was moved, board approved it, so that property tax replacement fund was eliminated. And that money was moved, I think, into 112, perhaps, I believe. So we had limited special funds. But that was a reserve savings account for exactly the incident that was suggested by Scums. That's how previous boards managed that. So, but it was a very lean, very disciplined budget at that point. Mr. Sturgis?
Madam Chair, I forgot one point about our current financial policy, and that's the 2% contingency factor. What? The 2% contingency factor in the fund. I think that's, it's in our policy. I don't know if you want to explain that, but it's something that we're supposed to do anyways. And that's contingency means normal operating expenses. So completely separate from our 90 days.
That's 112, is it not?
I will have to get back to you on that.
That's fair.
Which fund it's in. Mr. Sturgis?
I would just like, I mean, we're a half an hour into
Into
this
this,
with
yes.
no end in sight, and we're not even remotely through this. You know, I would love to send this back to finance or wherever this originated from and give this the time it deserves.
Thank you. I think so too.
And additionally, I am with Kathy and Dale that I just wanted to point out that we've all served on boards, whether that was a school district or our village board or, wherever. And, when you need, we are so blessed here. We don't need to borrow money. We are so incredibly unique right now that we don't have this boatload of debt. We're funded, our pensions and everything. and we're doing really well. But if we ever did need to borrow money, they're going to look at the debt that we have, which is virtually zero.
Yes.
But even more
Debt.
importantly, our ability to repay that debt. Because just because you don't have debt, if you don't have income to pay back the loan, it gets a little bit difficult to, and dicey to do that. So if we can just keep that in mind, I mean, we have some issues here regarding a budget. And we just spent a half an hour worrying about, something that I'm not quite sure, where we're going with this. Let's put it back and have that honest debate. Figure this out, vet this to whomever we need to, and then bring this back as swiftly as we can to go from there. But that's just me.
Is that a motion to
Is that
send
a-
back to
is
committee?
that
That is a
motion?
motion to send back to committee.
Sanchez seconds.
Second.
All right.
Sorry.
All right, we have a motion and a second discussion, Mr. Gripe, and that'll be at the end of it.
Just a quick comment, but I think that this resolution ordinance in any fashion isn't going to keep us from doing anything that would cause a problem. So it's unnecessary. It's going to go back. I'm assuming this is going to put it back, but keep in mind, folks, this could be perfect and it's not going to stop us from doing anything that will cause it to be violated.
No, that it's a separate issue. This is a mandated savings account. The other one is budgeting. So they're two different issues and your budget should include savings. My opinion,
Okay.
All right, we have
Can
a
we call the
motion and a
roll,
second.
please?
To send back to finance, Alan?
Alan, I.
Bates.
Bates, yes.
Berman?
Berman, yes.
Gums?
Gums, no.
Juby?
Juby, no.
Guys,
Caius?
yes.
Lewis?
Lewis, no.
Linder?
Linda, yes.
Molina?
Molina, yes.
Sanchez, yes.
Strathman?
Yes.
Surges?
Yes.
Tepe?
Tepe, yes.
Williams?
Williams, yes.
Roth?
Roth, yes.
Passes with 3 noes.
Bring back the,
Let me catch my,
send our valuable staff
ready,
back.
ready
to,
for composting?
That's all for finance.
No, we have D, E, and F.
Oh, that's right. Are we ready?
You ready?
On the
We
wording?
are. I needed 10, you gave me 30, we're good.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, I didn't intentionally give you 30, but. All right.
We have 2 changes, but each of these changes will need to be made for all of D, E, and F. So we'll need to take them separately.
Okay.
The language for the Northern Illinois Food Bank one, it'll read, now therefore be it resolved that, comma, and this is the language added, subject to and upon confirmation of available CFRW funding, comma. And then it goes on, it'll say the King County Board authorizes its chairman to enter into a subaward agreement, comma, and then this is added language with terms based on the draft agreement attached here to as Exhibit A, comma, and then it'll continue on as it is. So it's two clauses. One is subject to and without upon confirmation of available CFRW funding, and the other is with terms based on the draft agreement attached here to as Exhibit A. Those 2 changes to each of the therefores for each of these 3 will take care of the issue.
And that will be
Chair.
done for the board meeting next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
And do you, hold on a second, do you have that? You know exactly what he said? Copy that?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, we're good.
So
Yes.
I would like to move that amendment for B, C, and D or.
real quick,
We got to do them separately, Miss
but
Mavis.
more importantly, we actually need to take them back off the table. So somebody just needs to make a motion to take D and F back off. the
All right,
table.
I'll make the motion to take them off the table.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to vote
All right, so
separately.
now number D, I'll do the motion and Miss Bates can do the
Sorry,
second.
point of order, do we have to vote on that? Can we just get a voice
Verbal vote?
Voice vote's fine.
Voice vote, all in favor of moving it off table?
Aye.
D, E, and F. Okay.
Clarification, who seconded the taking off the table?
Surges.
Thank you.
All right, so D, I'll make the motion. Ms. Bates, you can be the second.
Okay.
Any
Wait
discussion?
seconds.
Could you
Do
read the
all three
language one
together.
more time just for D?
No.
No, no,
It's the
please.
same as E and F.
Okay.
Therefore it be it resolved that subject to and upon confirmation of available CFRW funding, the Kane County Board authorizes its chairman to enter into a subaward agreement with terms based on the draft agreement attached here to as Exhibit A. And then it goes on to say with Northern Illinois Food Bank, yada, yada, yada.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, let's call roll, please.
Well, real quick, are we taking a vote on that amendment?
On D.
On
Oh,
D,
yes. Yeah.
That's what this,
Oh,
that's what this is
this
for.
motion is for the amendment first.
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Okay,
so is there a
sorry.
Motion to amend.
Yes,
approve the
Roth and
amendment?
Bates second.
No, you moved it. Right now you
We've-
moved back, taking it off the table.
Right,
And that was.
and then I
second.
had
And now we
made a
need to know-
motion
We
with-
need a
for
separate
the
motion
amendment, yeah,
the
for
amendment.
D
And
only.
Bates seconds.
Bates seconds.
Yes.
Okay, we know what the motion is. So now can we take the vote on the motion for the amendment?
Yes. Please.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Thumbs,
Thumbs, yes.
Juby,
Shuby, I.
Bias, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Paulina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Now I'll make a motion to pass the resolution as amended. If I could get a second.
Second, Linder.
You don't need a motion for it, but
Oh, okay.
you're good. Take the vote.
All right, let's take the vote then.
Can we
Thank you.
pass all three at the same time?
No.
No,
he
each one is
has
different.
Requested no, separate.
All right, so this is for D
D,
as amended.
Mm-hmm.
which is what I said.
Oh, so are you smiling or crying?
Allen,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Thumbs,
Thumbs, no.
Juby,
Shuby, I.
Caius,
Bias, smiling, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Linda, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tepe,
Deppie, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay. E,
Point of order.
oh, sorry.
Did we make a motion to remove it from consent?
Yes, we
Keep
did a
it on
verbal vote on
consent? No, we did a verbal vote to remove it from
table.
being tabled. So don't we have to determine whether it stays on consent or not?
Because it passed without an amendment, it's on consent.
Because we passed it with the amendment.
Is it possible to then make a motion to remove it from consent? Because I heard that there was 2 no votes, so I'm suspicious it will be removed in our full county board meeting,
But we might as well
which
remove it
hopefully
now.
will not last
The-
as long as this one.
Person from the majority would need to change their vote. So it's a motion to,
Point of information,
Point of order.
point of information. Can't we, don't you ask at the board meeting if anybody wants to
Anybody can
remove
pull it off
anything? So all you
consent,
have
that
to do is
is
just say you
correct.
want it removed.
Yeah, I was just trying to save us time at the board meeting. Seeing how we tied up so much time today.
It'll be 5 times longer. No.
That can go pretty quickly. It doesn't need to take a vote to go off consent. It
No.
just pulls it off consent.
yeah, the answer to your question is you can move to reconsider. I will tell you that what people are suggesting is correct. The process of doing a motion to reconsider right now at this point would be far longer than just simply somebody asking to remove it at county board.
All right. We're going on to E. A motion to make amendment
Want to remove?
as
So- no,
previously
Mr. Ruff,
stated.
Now you need to bring up motion a second to consider E.
Right. So I make the motion if I can get a second.
Bias,
Thank you, Mr. Caius. All right, discussion.
So now's the opportunity for somebody to make a motion to amend.
Motion to,
A motion to amend. I'll make the motion. Can I get a,
And we'll second.
thank you, Ms. Stratman. Discussion?
Could you please
You can
read the
reread
amendment
it,
one
yes.
more time?
So is this one advocate? Yep. So advocate will read now therefore be it resolved that subject to and upon confirmation of available CFRW funding, the Kane County Board authorizes its chairman to enter into a sub-award agreement with terms based on the drafted agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A with Sherman Advocate Sherman Hospital in the amount of $53,156, yada, yada, yada.
Yada, yada. I like the yada, yada. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, can we call the roll, please,
Oh, you're late.
for the amendment?
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges, Tepe,
Zepi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay. Now I'll make a motion to pass the resolution as amended.
Gums will
Correct.
second.
Okay, so we just passed the amendment. You're back to the main thing. You don't
Right.
need to
No,
make
I
another
mean, pass
motion.
the ordinance.
Yeah, you don't
or
need
the
to vote.
resolution.
My
as
point is you
amended.
don't need to do another motion.
Oh,
You
okay.
just take. a
I'll
vote
just take it to vote.
on E, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm learning. Any discussion? All right, let's call the roll, please.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums, sorry.
Gums, no.
Juby, I.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Zepi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay, all right. With F, I'll make a motion for, to consider resolution F. If I can get a second.
Bates, second.
Thank you. And then if we get a motion to make the amendment, I'll make the motion. If I can get a second on that.
Bates, second.
Okay, any discussion? We can read it again if you would like, Madam Chair.
For this is King County Cougars. Now therefore be it resolved that subject to and upon confirmation of available CFRW funding, the King County Board authorizes its chairman to enter into a subaward agreement with terms based on the draft agreement attached here to as Exhibit A with Northern Illinois.
Close. Yada, yada.
Yada, yada,
Yada, yada.
The Cougars in the amount of $18,325, yada, yada, yada.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Frank. Okay, any discussion on that? Let's call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius,
Guys, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Zepi, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Let's see if I got it this time. Okay, now we can call the roll. The roll for the amendment resolution. See, I am trainable.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, no.
Juby,
Juby, I.
Caius, Yada, yada. Oh, no, yes. It's a yes.
Lewis, no.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Or just yes.
Zepi, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes. Okay, that's all the finance resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Berman, for asking me to substitute for you.
You do fine work, Mr. Roth. Thank you.
All right, jobs. Anita. Let's have one resolution.
and it's authorizing the Kane County continuing participation in the Greater Chicagoland Economic Partnership. The amount is $54,703. This is the third year, and this is through the ARPA funding.
This is through the what?
It's through ARPA funding.
Yeah, I just did the microphone.
Oh, sorry, through ARPA funding.
Thank you.
Alan seconds.
Okay, very good. All right, is there any discussion on this? This has been a highly successful program and enviable that for other counties who are not participating in this. So thank you for your consideration in advance. Are you ready? Any other comments? Let's call the roll.
Allen?
Alan, I.
Bates? Bates, yes. Berman?
Berman, yes.
Gums?
Gums, yes.
Juby?
Juby, aye.
Caius, yes.
Lewis? Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Okay, public health.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have one resolution for you today. And it is, this is the, pardon me, let me get myself here. Authorization of the adoption of 2024 through 2027 Community Health Improvement Plan by King County Board. This is something that's required of our Public Health Department every 5 years by Illinois state statute. And rather than doing it 5 years on their own, they do a collaboration with other health departments and individuals within the county, and they do it every 3 years. And they need to do this so that they can get their review and approval for their public health with the state of Illinois. So I would ask for, I will move it and I will ask for a second.
Linder, second.
Okay, any discussion?
Then I think we're ready to call the roll.
Allen,
Alan, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Caius,
yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Very good. Before we go to Mr. Tepe, I just want to bring up one point. I was reading some data research about Kane County based on 23 census data. And it's interesting that women who are over the age of 65 have a higher level of poverty than their male counterparts. And that includes access to food and access to housing. So I thought it was interesting. So I noticed housing and food access is part of the health plan.
Every year there is, when we do this, we rank what our objectives will be for the coming years. And housing is always in the top 3 or 4. So it's a problem.
Okay, transportation, Mr. Tepe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have 10 items on the transportation agenda. I'll take item A separately because I'm sure that Mr. Iqbal will have some things he wants to say about that. Is there any other item that anybody would like to discuss separately? Okay, well then let's start with item A. Proclamation for May 2025 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in Kane County. I'll move it and ask for a second.
Gums
Aye.
will second.
Second, discussion.
Mr. Tepe, would you want this removed off consent on the county board?
No,
Oh, you want it off consent
To recognize anybody?
to
at county board?
recognize the,
I thought we would handle it here.
No,
Is-
for recognizing,
Mr.
you know.
Iqbal's not online anymore.
and it is a.
Well, he's not online
it-
anymore?
It's a proclamation. Do you want to have a formal proclamation at the beginning?
Yes. Yes. Mr. Surges said.
Yada, yada.
Who's-
Second on
That was a second, okay.
That was my, yeah.
So this is going to go off consent agenda then? Yes,
Okay.
okay.
Just take a quick roll call vote on the amendment.
Okay, to take it, no. All right, so we're going to take a vote, and this is going, and it includes to go off consent. Call the roll, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Comes yes.
Juby,
aye.
Pius,
Yes, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Paulina,
Paulina, yes.
Strathman, Surges, Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Yes.
Okay,
Passes.
then I have 9 other items which are as follows. Item B, a resolution approving adopt a highway applicants. There are 7 renewals and one new applicant in that resolution. Item C, a resolution approving a technical services agreement between the Regional Transit Authority and the County of Kane for the Ride in Kane program. Contract number S5310-2024-05. Federal project number IL-2024-004. Program phase 21 and 22, mobility management. That's for $96,000 in funds, plus $24,000 in local funds that'll be coming in for that. Item D is a resolution approving amendment number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement between the County of Kane and the City of St. Charles for access and improvements to Randall Road from Illinois Route 64 to Dean Street. Item number E, a resolution approving the Kane County 5-year fiscal year 2025 to 2029 Transportation Improvement Program. We are required to do that, just so you know that. Item F, a resolution approving $127,892,000.80 contract for construction with Stephens 3D Construction, Inc. of Toluca, Illinois for 2025 Virgil Township bituminous surface treatment, section number 25-16000-02-GM. Just a comment, we do these for the townships, they reimburse us for them, so. Item G, a resolution approving a $128,909.90 contract for construction with Geske and Sons, Inc. of Crystal Lake, Illinois for 2025 Rutland Township Road District, section number 25-13000-01-GM. Item H, a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the Phase 1 Engineering Services Agreement with Alfred Benich and Company of Chicago, Illinois for Randall Road Multimodal Improvements, Kane County, section number 21-00539-00-TD. Item I, a resolution authorizing acquisition of real property for Randall Road at Big Timber Road intersection improvement, Kane County, section number 19-00369-01-CH. And item J, a resolution approving acquisition of highway right-of-way for Randall Road at Illinois Route 72, Elgin, Illinois, Kane County, section number 19-00514-00-WR, parcel number 1PK0004. I move all 9 and ask for a second.
Roth, a second.
Okay. All right.
Any discussion? Okay.
Clerk, call the roll. Oh, yes, sir.
I'm so sorry. I know we have people from the Transportation Department here. I so appreciate the emails that go out and the information that flows. I was able to post on my Facebook page all of the resurfacing going on, at least at the north end. And the number of phone calls you get is just phenomenal, saying thank you for letting us know. By the way, when does that start? When should I avoid it? And I don't have those details, but just thanks for getting it out there. So guys, I appreciate, whoever on your team puts that information out. It's sort of invaluable. So thank you.
Thank you. The chair will take credit for that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. Call the roll, please.
Allen,
Allen, aye.
Bates,
Yes.
Mr. Berman,
Berman, yes.
Keep Gums,
Comes yes.
Juby,
Juby, aye.
Pius,
Yes, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Paulina,
Paulina, yes.
Sanchez. He's still, okay. Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
All righty, we're now on to off consent, I believe. Is that correct? Yes. Okay, my glasses on. May I have a motion? Oh, I cannot do that. I will turn over A and B to Mr. Roth.
Okay. Make it down to them. Personal resolution approving county board personal expense voucher in the amount of 800, if I have the right one, $827.02.
Deputy moves.
Strathman seconds.
Okay, any discussion? Call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Gums,
Yes.
Juby,
I.
Yes,
Caius,
yes.
Lewis,
Yes, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Deputy, yes.
Williams,
Yeah.
Roth.
Roth, yes. The second one, personal voucher in the amount of $116.35. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Strathman moves.
Under second.
Okay, any discussion? Call the vote, please. All right, yes, one.
So, I believe that one of the cost saving measures that has been proposed and suggested is that we use cars from our carpool, car fleet instead of submitting for mileage. So in the future, perhaps this could be done with a car, one of our cars.
That should be a discussion within the finance committee. So, but noted. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
I.
Yes,
Caius,
yes.
Lewis,
Yes, yes.
Linder,
Under, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Deputy, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
May I please have a motion and a second to possibly, to discuss and possibly approve authorizing an interim director of workforce development?
Surges moves.
Strathman seconds.
Okay, any discussion on this? Okay, he's doing a bang up job. Comes in, really beginning to learn about what's going on. And he's here 3 days a week and he's highly effective. Will come in on other days as required. So he'll be here for about 6 months as we stabilize and then begin to look for a permanent director for that position.
Question.
Yes.
Have we done a posting yet for it or no?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay.
We have to stabilize it before we bring. it
Okay.
in.
All right, what's the expectation? I mean, if he's here for 6 months, when do we hope to have a job posting?
I'll turn this over to Anita.
Not to put you on the spot.
Um,
Crazy. Spin around the chair, make up an answer.
he's here on a contract.
Microphone, please.
Anita, microphone.
I would think probably in about 4 months, we should be stable enough that we'll know exactly what we want in that position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right now, we're putting out fires. So,
I understand.
call the roll.
Allen,
Allen, I.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Gums, Juby,
I.
Caius,
Yes, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Under, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Deputy, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
Good. May I please have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve First Amendment to agreement between County of Kane and the County Economic Development Corporation?
Roth will make the motion.
Just seconds.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on this?
Can you describe it briefly?
Mark is here. Mr. Van Kerkhoff can come up and tell us about it.
If this is just the third wave, I'm okay with it.
Okay, well, let, 3 words.
Good morning, Mark Van Kirkhoff. Yeah, this is just an administrative change to the agreement that was authorized last fall by the county board. There is absolutely zero change in the funding amount. That is completely the same. But it's administrative change at request of our ARPA team and the state's attorney's office. Does two things. One, it changes the direct pay for the ARPA team to pay bills for the new Economic Development Corporation. And then Appendix A in the original agreement had their categories of work with different line item or different amounts allocated to those areas. It's best for processing their bills to not have those categories as a restrictive item. But instead, the state's attorney suggested that Appendix A be replaced in its entirety with a more detailed list of the eligible expenses. So happy to answer any questions.
Yes. Mr.
Madam Chair, I
Soltis.
think you had made a statement that this is at this point wildly successful and doing really well. Do we have any matrix? I mean, as a county, as a board, do we have a listing of the goals that we're trying to achieve on this and any sort of matrix indicating how we're working toward those goals and achieving them? Like, if I remember correctly, we were doing this with a bunch of other counties.
We are.
Are we getting the same impact, or is Cook County absorbing, we all give a little bit, but they're getting the lion's share? Or has
no,
this
we're-
trickled out to us? Or, what more can we be doing? And Mark, you don't have to answer that, but if we can maybe put together some sort of an executive summary. Don't go nuts with this, but something that says, these are the 7 items that we're trying to get to, and this is where we're at on them, but I really need help on these 3. I could really use a little bit more here, or, if you get the gist.
Yeah, so they're two different items. The comment Madam Chairman made was in regard to our partnership with the 7 other counties and World Business Chicago for the regional. This is our own Economic Development Corporation that we just launched, and they're just getting up and running with the board
Are
and
they
with
not
their
playing
efforts.
with each other?
Oh, yeah, they absolutely.
They're one and the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I
it's
thought.
one and the
Yeah.
same.
Absolutely, but but yes, I can get you more information. Yes, I'm saying, I understand.
Thank you.
Now I'm confused. Well,
Yes, Ms.
Sorry.
confused.
Sorry.
Now I am. They're not one and the same.
Your fault, Mr.
It's
Surges.
the Economic Development Corporation is the entity. That's the private-public partnership. It's a 501c6. It will be soon a 501c6. The other entity, the Greater Chicagoland Partnership, is a resource tool that is being used by the Economic Development
Okay.
Corporation.
That's fine. Thank you.
Good job.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. So you need one for the other and can't really be effective without having both together. Okay, thank you so much. Did we call the roll on this? Call the roll, please.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Comes, yes.
Juby,
Should I?
Tyus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
So, I'll smile at this one. May I have a motion and a second to discuss, and hopefully approve an ordinance providing the payment of toll bridge revenue bonds, sales tax supported series 2018 of the County of Kane, Illinois, in advance of maturity, and authorizing and directing the execution of an escrow agreement in connection therewith.
Caius move.
Thank you, sir.
So second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on this?
I'm not
Good.
really understanding what it is.
Take the money.
We're just take the money and pay the bond.
Bless you.
Thank you.
With nothing else, clerk, call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman. Mr. Berman, it looks like he left. Okay.
He's there, but he's not quite there.
He's still online.
He's just away. Oh, sorry. Gums,
Comes, yes.
Juby,
Should I?
Tyus,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Berman, yes.
Carrie, yes.
And Roth is yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. The,
Final resolution.
not quite the last, but the last of the resolutions. May I have, this is item number F, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and hopefully approve emergency appropriation for budget amendments related to the reimbursement of grant funds, transfer of monies to Long Meadow Debt Service Funds, and payment to the escrow agent for defeasance of the Long Meadow Toll Bridge revenue bonds.
Caius will make a motion.
Caius will move.
Thank you.
Roth will second.
Any discussion on this? I will have one brief comment. The return on investment of the $30 million, it cost us approximately $75,000 to work with a lobbyist, and who did other things as well, but that was the total amount to get through this. Plus, with travel expense going back and forth, I think I was down at Springfield for a couple of times, and I can't factor in what Mr. Tom Rickard, what his costs were, because that's out of his budget. But let's say about $1,000 for my travel expenses. For $76,000, we earned $30 million. That's not a bad investment. So, yes, Ms. Combs.
I just want to thank Mr. Caius. We go back years and years on this conversation.
For complaining, year
Yes,
after year.
absolutely. No, I mean, I
For
think it's
steadfast.
something we don't talk about enough. I mean, you were very diligent on this from the get. And I think you should be recognized for that. I know you spoke to your legislators too. And I just think it's worth pointing out. So thank you.
They were tired of hearing from him.
Team effort, yeah. Yeah. Mr. Martin was adamant every time he knew what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Meeting after meeting.
It was fantastic. It was really wonderful. I agree. Thank you for bringing that up. Well done. Yes. All right. So I think we're ready to call the roll.
Allen,
Aye.
Bates,
Bates, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Gums,
Gums, yes.
Juby,
Aye.
Caius,
Caius, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Molina,
Molina, yes.
Strathman,
Strathman, Yahoo, yes.
Surges, Tepe,
Tepe, yes.
Williams,
Williams, yes.
Roth.
Roth, yes.
What's exciting as we go into our committee reports is that we're almost out of debt. I mean, the county has got absolutely no debt, a little bit, just a little bit, but it's phenomenal. So that's exciting for our budgeting, very exciting for our budget, because we don't have to budget for a lot of debt payment. All right, thank you for all of that. I believe there's no need for executive session. There was a request from Ms. Juby wanting to know why I went down earlier for the ISACO conference. And I wanted to share the reason why I went down. And in order to do so, I asked Mark Strong, I'm sorry, it's been long and I need some food. Mr. Armstrong pleasantly and quietly, patiently sitting in the back to talk about the reason why I went down, which was alluded to before. And that is the townships and what is happening right now with the townships. And the reason why is the impact that Kane County and other counties within the state of Illinois may have if these bits of legislation go through. It'll be a financial impact upon us, potentially. So, Mr. Armstrong.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to attempt to be brief, which is not at the top of my skill set. But if anyone wants to ask any questions afterwards, I'll be happy to handle those outside of the meeting so as not to lengthen this morning. There are multiple proposals regarding township consolidation. You heard some of them earlier in your legislative report. I don't want to repeat those. There are two others. So one's a bill in the House, one's a bill in the Senate. I know about those because I wrote them, but they do not appear to affect the township code. They're entirely contained within the property tax code, and it deals with a more incremental approach of consolidating small jurisdictions for assessment purposes. One of the things we find with townships is the more rural the township is, the more likely they are to need an active road commissioner because they have a lot of township roads, as opposed to, say, Geneva Township, which has almost none. On the other hand, they are much less likely to have a qualified assessor candidate. So I've been working with a group for several years now, and we have a proposal on the table that appears to be heading to a property tax omnibus bill. And it would change the multi-township assessment jurisdiction threshold from 1,000 population to 5,000 or 3,000, depending on what number they end up on. The bill has the support of the Illinois Association of County Board Members, the County Assessment Officers Association, and township officials of Illinois, and will work to combine smaller jurisdictions, but within an existing structure. The danger of all of this is if we end up with a township that, say, doesn't have an assessor, all those duties come immediately to the county because otherwise we can't levy property taxes. If that happens, there are expenses that are going to be incurred. Now, the good news is, according to the current system, if you have to expend this money through the budget process, and because there's no township assessor elected in that jurisdiction, you can bill the township. And that's perfectly allowed. And it's not what the township budgets, it's what has to be spent. Now, the downside is a number of these township consolidation bills would bring those functions into township government with no additional funding, or so incrementally smaller additional funding. Or they would seek to eliminate the number of units of government by creating special new taxing districts that the county would administer on those. This is certainly a worthy discussion to talk about, and I could go all day, and I'm sure you have no doubt that I could. But obviously, I'm in favor of the smaller incremental way. But at the time this conference took place, all those bills were on the table. And some of those bills would have meant the county adding millions to its budget in the current budget cycle that we're working on right now. And so I want to make sure that we're ready for whatever happens. And with that, I think I've talked enough. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have now or offline later.
All right, Ms. Bates, yes.
So I am surprised, shocked, dumbfounded that the township officials have approved this, because they were dead set against it at that conference.
Well, they approved my version. They didn't approve the others.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Better one.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a point of information. There are about 1,425 townships in Illinois today, and there are counties that have no townships. So it's an issue with smaller rural areas, okay, where they need some form of governance, but there aren't many people there. It's not here.
Yes, Mr. Roth.
Mr. Armstrong, if it passes, which townships would be affected in Kane County?
If the bill that I drafted passed, the 4 townships that would be affected would be Big Rock, Virgil, Burlington, and Caneville. Those all have populations right now in the mid 1,000. It was stated earlier that Virgil Township is the smallest by population. It is not. Both Big Rock and Caneville are smaller population. So unless they had some astounding growth between now and the 2030 census, we would expect to see that change. The other difference is that my bill actually tied it to the next decennial census to give everybody a chance to ramp up into this. Nobody gets the rug yanked out on them, under them immediately.
And from what I've heard, is that they are interested in moving it to 5,000 because that was appease the governor, because he's very much in favor, it's on his original budget, to talk about township consolidation as a way to save taxpayer dollars.
By the way, to reference Mr. Teppe's figure about 1,400 townships, he is correct. There are only 800 township level assessment jurisdictions because our existing structure actually has already consolidated them. This would just follow that same path that's already proven successful. And yes, I've been in conversation with the governor's office on that threshold being 5,000. We're waiting to see what the legislature wants to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, thank you, Mr. Armstrong, for your patience with
You're very
all of
welcome.
this. And I believe I will call you back once this legislation is passed to see what impact it'll have upon the county.
Well, if there will be a role for the county board in any event, and I'll let you know what we can all do to work together and make it work.
We have no choice. Thank you. All right, very good. All right, so that, Ms. Juby, that's the reason why I went. I think it was very informative and very interesting and very important for us to
Thank you.
know.
I just wanted to see the handout. It was very informative. Thank you.
Oh, sure. All right, we had our legislative update. Are there any other committee reports at this time?
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to say, Ms. Gums reminded me that May 11th through May 17th is National Police Week, where we take some time to honor the sacrifice and service of our law enforcement officers. So just a reminder for that for next week.
Okay, very good. Yes, yes, sir.
Two items, different, and a shameless plug for the Specialty Courts Foundation, which my wife is a member of. The third annual spring fundraiser is going to be May 15th. If you'd like to support that, it's a well worth cause. This is a foundation that buys the things that the funding can't get, small items that make this a very successful program. I have flyers here if you'd like to attend, or if you can't make it, you're certainly welcome to donate. So it's definitely worthy cause. Then from the administration committee, trying to make this fast, updates on the Geneva Creek stabilization project are complete. There will be an admin presentation on the project and a walkthrough with the environmental water resources. And like to thank Jody Woolnick and Rob Linke and the Forest Preserve of Kane County Board and the building management. That walkthrough will be next Wednesday after administration, so at about 11:30 a.m. If you'd like to see what they've been doing over here to reclaim and turn what was a flood zone and a disaster essentially into a great drainage, and it'll be it has the church thing back there. Yeah. Girdle. Yes, that girdle. I'm with Mr. Sturgis, can't remember what the name. And it was riverboat funds, forest preserve, and drainage funds. No general funds were used in that. $500,000 total, $250,000 from the riverboat.
Thank you. And as I was reminded by Ms. Walnut, Corinne, if you want clean water, we got to clean this.
You got to what?
We got to clean, make sure that stream is well maintained. Otherwise,
Goes right into the river.
right into the river.
Yeah.
And I went, oh,
I have
okay.
a comment. I have a correction to make from the PowerPoint presentation that I made at the special finance committee meeting. I said, I misquoted Jack Cunningham's office saying that they spent $2 million on postage for every election. It's actually $2 million on the whole election. So that'd be a lot of stamps. So I wanted to correct myself. Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Lot of stamps.
All right, anything else?
Actually, there's one other thing, and that is that if you haven't had enough meeting already this morning, the riverboat, Grand Victoria Riverboat will be meeting probably 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
Should have a quorum by then.
Okay, very good. All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Roth will make the motion.
Surges.
Roth will second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Have a great day, all.